Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to N5D Radio's Cosmic Awakening Show, where we are serving this galaxy. Hey, my name is Michelle Walling, and I'm your host tonight. I'm with N5D.com, and our goal is to reach as many people as possible with a database of articles, videos, and radio shows that will help you aid in your spiritual awakening. And tonight, as I do every night, I'd like to give a very special thanks to Greg Prescott, who's our radio show sponsor at N5D Radio that makes this show possible. Greg is also the webmaster for N5D.com, which is the world's hottest esoteric, metaphysical, and spiritual database on the Internet. N5D.com is currently ranked in the top 30,000 websites in the world. Greg updates the N5D alternative news page every day, 365 days a year. Now you'll find the new article for the day there, along with that day's alternative. And Greg is also the webmaster for BodySoulSpirit.com, where you can find great holistic and spiritual awakening articles. And he also has one that we don't talk about a lot, but it doesn't mean it's not important, where you can find many holistic tours mainstream media and from our knowledge. I'd like to let everyone know that our motto is no one left behind. So we have all kinds of levels of information on info, the newly awakened person up to somebody who's trying to figure out the bigger picture. So just to make sure that you find what you're looking for, you can browse the archives of all the shows as well on my website, which is called CosmicStarseeds.com. That's just a database of everything that I've done. You can find out about holistic life coaching that I do on MichelleWalling.com. And I'm happy to announce my new website called HowToExitTheMatrix.com for those who would like to go even deeper into the big picture of the possibility of the planet existing in a controlled holographic matrix. And if so, now that we know about this, what are we going to do about it? So this is all for you guys. Most everything provided by us is free. The only thing that may cost you a little bit would be to have an hour session with me on the phone. It's the only thing that I do that I charge. And this radio show, along with all of our other fine shows by Greg Prescott, Helene Lipson, and Claudia Miller on N5D Radio, are all commercial free and up to 3 hours long. So we provide as much as we can. We work as hard as we can for you. And so I just wanted to say that this month marks my 1-year anniversary on the Cosmic Awakening Show. Greg Prescott was my first guest, and I've already mentioned you can find all those shows on CosmicStarseeds.com. I don't have all of them uploaded to my YouTube channel. I have a few of them uploaded to N5D. It seems like we've just got so much work to do that the last thing we get around to doing is uploading them, because you still can find them on Blog Talk, and you can find them on CosmicStarseeds.com. I want to give a special shout-out tonight to my co-host, Larry Locken, who was with me for many of those shows. We had a great time, and I appreciate all your support with N5D and sharing all the articles, and I know that Greg does too. And so I also would like to say hello to our Facebook friends, Facebook groups that we send all of our articles to, and the cosmic family out there listening tonight, all over the universe. And I'm a part of a great couple of groups that I wanted to mention, like I do. One of them is called with love and selfless service, we can change the world. And another one is called Universal Love and Energy. So I really like those because, it does have the theme of what Greg and I are all about. Basically we're here. We know that we're on a starseed mission, and that is to provide as much information to all levels of beings who are awakening on the planet and come up with a solution on how we're going to get out of this matrix. So, hi to Gemini Moon in the chat room. Hello to Sif, and hello to Andrew Fisher of Nature of Reality Radio, and everyone else that's sitting in the chat room. If you guys have a question today for my guest, please type it in, and I will try to be watching that and get. Just reading a comment in the chat room that made me giggle. Sorry. Just watching. I'll be watching the chat room and try to get your message in. We will be taking callers in the second half of the show. The phone number is area code 646-716-8890. Now, this week's topic is Matrix 101, and my very special guest tonight is coming all the way from Philadelphia, PA, and his name is Paul Wesley. He's also known as Truthchaser Paul. He's an activist, a universalist, and a self-empowerment coach, and stresses the importance of the love vibration. And so without waiting any longer, let's bring on Paul Wesley. Welcome to the Cosmic Awakening Show.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you to Greg and everyone that's involved in really getting this show together.
Oh, you're welcome. I watched a couple of videos on YouTube. You've done a couple of presentations, and you're just the kind of person that I like to bring on the show, that to bring you in the spotlight for all of our viewers, although none of us really like the spotlight. But there's always people, these big name people that get on radio shows and they've got a lot of information. But you know what? We've got to bring in people that are just now getting out and telling their story, because there's a lot of information out there to be learned. So I appreciate you coming on. And with that being said, if you could just give our guests a little bit of your background.
Sure, absolutely. A little bit about myself would be just your ordinary, typical individual that is a slave to the Matrix and woke up to the Matrix and decided to, when we wake up to the Matrix, period, when we look around us, we say, wow, something is totally wrong with what's going on, okay? We're in an illusionary reality. And when I had found that out, I went through all kinds of stuff, through anger, then how important love vibration was, and how important, connecting to one, service to others. And I just have to say, before I even get into anything that I know, I just want to say that anything I say on this show tonight, take what resonates within you guys, okay, and what doesn't resonate within you, throw away. Now, whatever you do pick up or resonate from, once you get that knowledge, once that resonates within you, don't just sit around with it. Actually get out there and empower others to empower others. Because that's one of the things that I think is the most beautiful thing, is that when, it's just being blessed to be in this moment right now, to be on this show, because it took a long time. I've been doing what I'm doing for about 7 years now, and it took a long time for me to raise my vibration as a being high enough to even be on 5D. I mean, come on, hey, we're on 5D, So, and it's a blessing. So just basically, I'm an activist, humanitarian. I do lectures. I do universalism. I've had alien abduction experiences as a kid. I've been on multiple shows as far as different dimensional beings, different astral beings, different things like that. So I've pretty much done so much, and rightfully so, because there's so much to do that I'm all over the place. So, basically, I'm just one person trying to make sense of this crazy matrix we live in, and, not only do that, but raise the vibration of the people and the planet, because Mother Earth needs it just as much as each and every one of us need it. But, And I just literally made it my obsession to, create the reality that I would want to see. So thank you again for having me on so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And I know that you have a pretty good understanding of the Matrix. And but how did you? And we're going to talk about Matrix 101 today for our listeners who a little introduction and really meaning who has created it and why. What really did you listen to? Was it Mark or David Icke? When did you really realize that what we're seeing out of our eyes is actually a created hologram?
Wow, that's one of the greatest questions I've ever had on any radio show I've ever been on. When we exactly, I mean, it's amazing. It's such a great question. Thank you so much for it, because when we look at people like holistic healers, really great-minded individuals who have knowledge, I never really studied anyone. Like, I never studied David Icke or anyone else like that. I mean, I love his work and other individuals who empower themselves to actually get out there. I mean, I can honestly say that the information I have is just from being passionate. And when you raise your consciousness to the point to where you just really raise your vibration with that, you just want to help people, and you start seeing things. And the universe works in such a beautiful way because it'll open up doors for you. I mean, there's beings, like when we think about who we are as beings, things can be downloaded to us, okay? So when we think about, how did Gandhi get his information, or how did this person or that person get their spiritual enlightenment or their awakening? I mean, it just comes from raising your vibration, and I really can't stress how important it is, because when I first started out doing what I was doing, I was full of anger. And a lot of my YouTube videos show this. I mean, it was, when I found out about different dimensional beings, reptilian this, reptilian that, it was like, well, humanity is suffering, humanity is being eaten, and this and this and this and this and this and enslaved. And, it was a really struggle between positive beings pulling me to the left, and negative beings pulling me to the right. And I really just got to that point where I said, well, hold on a minute. There's something wrong here, because you can't say all one species is negative, okay? You can't do that. So what really woke me up and what really gave me the info was just basically doing my own research and reaching out, on a universal level, just things being downloaded to you. I mean, it happens every day. I mean, like how to see a hybrid, or how to have be in dream state and have beings come to you and give you information. I've spoken many times about the feline race. They're not talked about a lot through any radio shows that I've ever been on. And people I try to reach out, you get bits and pieces of these beings, but not a lot of people talk about them. But a lot of information was given to me from them. And just like the elitist download negative thoughts from our minds, because mind control is a real thing. Okay. Negative energy, just like it's kind of like Star Wars, the dark side and the light side. So just as they can download negative things via TVs or video games or things like that nature, there's a lot of light workers and light beings that can say, hey, look, we see he's reaching thousands and thousands of people where he wasn't, 4 years ago, and he really cares, and, they'll help you. I really believe that. And that's, I really can't say that I got any of my information off of anyone, although there's a lot of really great empowering minds and out there. But I
understand that.
Sure.
I understand that, because, what you do when you do look for at outside information, which I understand you don't do a lot of, but I understand that a lot of people also send you a lot of stuff to look at, because they listen to you and they go, oh, wow. That's what Paul Wesley said. It's great confirmation. As a human being
Absolutely.
In this illusion, a lot of times it's you have to have confirmation. And what would happen with me is I went through the whole, not the whole New Age part, because I knew innately that what was happening on the planet, but I had no idea that this was an illusion. like this was a hologram. I mean,
Right,
it's real, but it's a real hologram. Put it that way.
Absolutely.
I didn't know that, and I knew about raising your vibration, and I fell into ascension. But this ascension, I renamed the whole thing of ascension. You know, not that we're gonna vibrate off the planet or anything, but that we were going to heal ourselves. And I wrote a book on how to ascend. And what would happen is I started writing articles about a year ago as well. And I did have a lot of New Age terms in there because I had read so much information from the bookstores or whatever. And that's what you're going to get when you get that information, because that was all geared towards maybe even ascending, meaning getting on a ship and going and starting another civilization on a planet within the Matrix. So, I mean, I didn't figure that out until just recently. But no, really the base core of what I was trying to say in words was, that we are going to heal ourselves and raise our vibration and dissolve the Matrix. But I didn't know what the words were at the time. So but what would happen is I would get the information, like you said, and then I would, because I would be led on the internet, all of a sudden I would end up on something and go, wow, yeah, that's how I feel inside. Those are the words that I wanted to convey. Unfortunately, a lot of them were New Age terms, but everything happens for a reason, and I felt like I had to go down that path to know what other people are finding out there and to know how to translate it now into what I feel like is the truth. And so I understand about being led and having dreams, and the synchronicities and coincidences were amazing that led up to that. And you had talked about implants and mind control, and I just finished an article today called Starseed and Royal Survival Implants and Tags, and that'll be coming out probably in 3 or 4 days on N5D.com. So that's interesting that you brought that up too. So thank you for talking about that. And
absolutely.
So I wondered if you would explain in your words energetically what you feel that the Matrix actually is.
Well, and the Matrix in itself is the global banksters, okay? The Matrix in itself is the illusion, first and foremost. The Matrix in itself is just energy. And what we go around us and we see that the archons, a lot of people refer to them as the archons, or, they are the puppet masters, okay, of what's going on. So the Matrix, if I was to break down the Matrix in, say, 2.5 seconds, I would say the Matrix is the prison, fake reality that we live in through negative energy-sucking parasites. And I talk a lot about this when I do my presentations. It's called starving the parasites, and that's basically the fact that the archons that, and they hate being called archons, but they are archons. The archons that are controlling us through the Matrix they created. The false reality. The Matrix is basically the illusionary world that we see, okay? Like the news, the this, that, the how we have stage events to pretty much get as much fear out of human beings as they possibly can. When we look at like football stadiums, hockey stadiums, baseball stadiums, all right? And we compare them to the fact that there was coliseums, back in the day, we were kind of like, wow, but why is that? That is the Matrix. So that setup is the Matrix. The Matrix is an illusionary, holographic reality, so that way they can feed off our energy, and they being the parasites, the Bilderbergs, the Rothschilds, the presidents, the Illuminati, the puppets, the negative reptilians, the negative greys, because not all of them are negative, and it took me a while to figure this out. And one of the reasons why I leave my videos on YouTube about me transitioning from, saying, well, this means negative. And people say, well, why did you leave that on YouTube? I said, well, because I want, like you guys, instead of having big names on your show, like you said, you have people that are up and comers, like myself or anyone else. because that's what I want people to see. I want people, in order for people to grow consciously the way I have, they need to see how I said, well, there's fake light workers and there's real light workers, and that negative this or negative that, because that shows how humanity can change. It shows that humanity isn't a species that's just dead or should be forgotten and wiped off the planet. So, and I really want people to see that we can actually see one thing, and then through doing individual research, really enlighten ourselves to enlighten others and really raise our vibrations. And, as far as Matrix and finding out what this is and what that is, I mean, if you look on the internet and you find stuff out on the internet, okay, and take what resonates within you, and I really can't stress this enough, take what you like and what resonates within us, throw the rest away, because, you know what I mean? Because some of it's truth and a lot of it's disinfo. And for good reason, because what we're up against right now is we are literally up against the Matrix. We're up against the Archon, the puppet masters. I mean, you don't think that they're listening to this show right now? I mean, of course they are. Okay, mm-hmm. They're the ones who set up this reality. So of course they are. They want to know who the free thinkers are. They want to know who the spiritual enlightened beings are, because if anyone listens to this thinks for 1 minute, well, I got a radio show, or I have this, or I have that, and I'm top notch, and I'm just going to do this and do that. That's not. We're talking about beings that imprisoned the planet. And in order to get out of this prison, you have to first realize that you're a prisoner, and then you get your prison break. Okay, we have to literally raise our consciousness. I mean, as crazy as it sounds, and a lot of things that we're going to talk about tonight are going to sound a little loony, that's fine. That's fine. And, that's a learning process for someone who's just getting into what we've been doing for a very long time, okay? So, again, we go through steps of spiritual growth, of individual growth. And the Matrix, mm-hmm. That's the Matrix. The Matrix is basically what we look at every day when we go to shop at the supermarket. Okay, we see the zombies, I call them. Okay, people that aren't unsavable. They are savable, but haven't been shown the way. The Walking Dead. Okay, so
yeah,
that's the Matrix.
Truly,
that's the Matrix.
Someone even said we were born dead.
Sure. But it's not their fault, though. It's really not their fault. Like, as a single father, I'll take my daughter out. We go shopping, and she goes, "Dad, I see what you're saying." I'm like, "Just look around you, sweetheart." I'm like, "Look around you." She goes, "Oh my God." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "But don't look down on people, okay? Because people are stuck in the Matrix. See, they're in a state of, like, people are waiting for the zombie apocalypse. Listen, the zombie apocalypse is here." So,
exactly.
we don't need if the zombie apocalypse isn't some virus that's going to come and turn me into a mutant. The zombie apocalypse is a spiritual warfare apocalypse that's going to keep people dumbed down. The same way medication keeps people dumbed down, okay? But when we understand that we're in the Matrix, the Archons who created this Matrix, it's a spiritual war for them, because this planet, I think we're on a 2,700 years cycle, to where people, this is our shot. This is our shot to make it or not. This is our shot to make it or break it. So, you sure? Go ahead.
I have questions. I mean, I get so excited about this stuff.
So do I. So we're going to be we're going to be going crazy for the whole show. So it's going to be great. But go ahead.
Yeah. What I want to get your opinion on is this program that is here. Mm-hmm. From what I feel like, the program is actually a copy of the organic template of human reality, where Earth was supposed to be created to be a paradise planet, kind of mm-hmm. like a vacation spot, but basically also a petri dish for all of the beautiful nature that we have here. That's the symbiosis with the environment, and the plants that are taking care of the carbon dioxide and the rain that makes the plants grow and all that. So all that was tested out, and of course it all got hijacked and taken over. So kind of what I really want to know is, in your opinion, as we look around and as we see, hear, taste, touch, and feel things, mm-hmm. do you think that maybe a part of that could actually be the organic template? And what is the matrix is actually a program that's running over that maybe we can't even see the organic earth. We're actually just seeing, when we look outside, we're seeing all the concrete being built. We're seeing telephone poles. We're seeing pollution. We're seeing all the chemtrails and all that. Could that part actually be part of the program? And if we dissolve the program, the earth would be actually like healed and pristine and beautiful again.
Wow.
I just had that thought today.
Wow, this is the beauty of being on a show like this, because the questions are so solid. It's amazing. Wow, and the answer to that is absolutely, positively yes. But then again, to answer that even better is that think about what you just asked me, because it's true. Okay, number one, and number two, how do we break that matrix to see the beautiful fruits and this and that? We have to starve the parasite. And I say this in my presentations, okay? Because the ones who put the cloak over us as spiritual, beautiful beings, all right, are the ones who basically are parasitical energy suckers, okay? So that's exactly what you said. But we're not going to be able to see, the paradise. We're not going to be able to see, Mother Earth as she should be, if what we both agree upon is true, unless we raise our vibration. And the reason, it sounds corny. You always hear it all the time. Raise your vibration, raise your vibration, raise your vibration. And it really does sound corny, but it's real, because when we're dealing with low vibrational beings who have the know-how to, not only DNA-wise, but spiritually keep us blinded from what's really going on, the only way to out them is to rise above them. And I think that when we look at reality as it is, we see the ocean with Fukushima, the chemtrails in the sky, the Monsanto, they're poisoning our food to keep these parasites want to do every single possible thing they can to keep our DNA down, to keep our spiritual growth down. That's why they're poisoning our food so as much as they are. Look around you when you shop. If we want to get, any kind of vegetarian food or eggs, free roam eggs, it costs $3 or $4 more than the crap that they sell. You know what I'm saying? Why is that?
Yes, I do.
If exactly. So, and when we look at the candy or the Fritos and the chips and stuff that they sell, you would think if our government loved us, why the heck would they have this junk out here? Because it's a part of the matrix, like you said. It's the illusion. It's the towel over our head. Because, I always had a saying that the reason that the parasite continues to do what it does is because until we prove as a species, okay, that we are going to empower ourselves, we're nothing to them. We're food. We're energy food. We're cattle. The same thing you would see cattle on a farm, all right? And I think that's...
It's funny that you said that.
Like moo, you know what I mean? Like, absolutely. Like, some of the reptilian beings or other beings, they already know how the consciousness works. They already know how reality works. They already know how the matrix works. And you know what? If you're unwilling to do the groundwork, again, like I said, you want your pardon, earn it. And I'm not that we should have to, but we're put in that position to where we have to. And that's where I come in, and that's where you come in, and that's where all us free thinkers come in. And regardless if you're reptilian, regardless if you're tall white, I don't care. If you're positive shit, you're on my team. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Hands in hand. And I've seen reptilians manifest in front of me. And I've seen Zetas. I've seen it. I know what a reptilian looks like. Absolutely. Draco, whatever you want to call it. All right? And here's the thing. The reason people see a normal person, or they're not going to see anything from the matrix, or they're not going to see anything manifest in front of them, again, until you raise your vibration and your consciousness for that being to even think you're deemed worthy to see it or at. Some people see it through sex or through really anger, they'll shapeshift, whatever. But when you raise your vibrational and energy and your consciousness, it's so easy to see them. Oh, wow. It's just been one hell of a journey that I've been on. And to someone who's asleep, they're going to think, wow, this guy's totally off his rocker. But to you guys, starseeds, indigo children, what I'm saying is real. And that's one of the beautiful things about me leaving on my YouTube, some of the videos when I started out, because you get to see the transition from, the growth. But I agree with everything you said.
Exactly.
I agree with
the
everything
same thing with my articles and my YouTube, my shows. But I've always been drawn to the Star Treks, to anything sci-fi that has to do with spaceships, space, time travel, and all that. So like you said earlier, if you take what resonates with you, do that. And that even means it even means you can use some of the New Age stuff, because there's a lot of truth in there. And then there's that little bit of disinfo. But what is really exciting is when you get to the point where you can look around in this matrix, you can see the hybrids, and you can think to yourself, they're half gray. They're half human, half gray. You can see it.
And they will smile at us, too. I don't know if you've ever had that, but they smile at us when the positive ones do. The positive hybrids will. I've had it where I would walk by and you would just get that smile. Because think about it. If you're a hybrid, or even if you're a full, other dimensional being or other being that's cloaking themselves, when you're walking around with zombies all the time, people that are in a low vibrational state. So when you finally get to see someone, if I was a hybrid and I see like you, and you could see me, of course I would smile, because it'd be a blessing. It'd be great to see someone who actually sees me.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then
especially someone positive.
Well, also and you can see the dark ones too. But also when you start to decode the matrix, it is so much like the movie. It's almost laughable. It is, because when you start to decode things, you can read a word and you can know what the base root of it is, and then you can know what it was meant, what black magic spell it was meant to cast.
Sure.
Yeah. So, and one thing I wanted to say is, I also realized that, how everything is getting to an extreme polarity right now with, it seems like, it almost seems like it can't get any worse. Well, for as much extreme negative polarity there is in this matrix, there's also the same amount of extreme positivity, because the way this matrix is created energetically is it's made through light. And with light, you have to have, it's a duality, it's a polarization, and you're going to have negative and positive. And there is a balance in that. It's just that there's also, right now, there's a focus with the programming on keeping the negative focus in order to keep people, in this mind control. And so this mind control that you've been talking about, for people who haven't, they don't really understand why people are walking around like zombies. We had mentioned implants. And like I said, I did write an article on that today. So let's talk about implants a little bit.
Sure.
The implants, from my understanding, start in the brain. When the human version, I think 2.0 or whatever, there's no telling how many versions of bodies there actually were on this organic Earth template when creation was brought to the planet. Humans being one of them. But anyway, the human bodies were taken by the Anunnaki, which were working with the Dracos, and they changed the brain to separate the hemispheres, and that's our first implant, and as well as probably put a little chip in the pineal gland. Now, these implants, that is in the brain itself, but then there's also implants that are etheric. They're in your energy field, and there's also physical implants when you can get abducted and an implant placed in you and have your mind wiped and not remember that it's there. But tell our audience your understanding of how they use the implants to keep people under mind control.
Well, not only on their mind control, but in low vibrational state. I've had an implant. I hate when I stutter, but I had an implant removed from my arm, and this was in dream state, I've actually had again, this sounds crazy to people who don't understand what's going on, but I've had a positive being actually show me and that an implant was being removed from my arm. So the implants themselves, I mean, we're talking about a parasitical, desperate, low vibrational, archonic being that will do whatever it can to, keep us as its farm, if you want to call it that. We're their playthings, we're their pets. This is their playground. So it's.
And why do they need us so bad?
Well, first and foremost, they're putting the implants in us. I mean, it's obvious for control. This is why you have, someone who could be a positive person, outgoing person, and the next thing you know, he's being really rowdy and really aggressive, and he's at a baseball game. He's usually a nice guy. Next thing you know, he's beating somebody up, and that the reason that they need to control us, the reason they do the implants. I'm stuttering. I do that from time to time, but because we have to think energy, and this is why I love the whole 5D thing, because it's really, you think 5D, you think energy, but energy, because that's what it is. Okay, when they see suffering, we're talking about like the Illuminati, the so-called enlightened ones. Okay, they focus on energy, the negative reptilians, the negative beings, and the negative humans that are involved. When they see a child being tortured in an underground base, they get a high off that, almost like a sexual, nasty, perverted high. That's what they get when they see war and body parts being blown off. They get a arousal, an energetic arousal. You understand what I'm saying? The same thing, like if you have a football game, you're like, yeah, get them, sack the quarterback. You get that energetic, like, yes, That is what they get when they see suffering, when they see us all medicated and our food is poisoned. That's why they do it, because they're parasites. Just like a tick would want blood. It cannot survive without having a host. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Right, and that's exactly what I was getting at.
Cannot survive. Exactly, they cannot survive without a host. All right, and they also do what I call I hate when I stutter, but I have a stuttering problem for your viewers in case they don't know.
You know what?
They
aura hop. Don't worry about it. Just stop talking about it.
They aura hop. They aura hop. What I call aura hopping is a thing with them because. Like if you would have people say, well, I'm a nice person, I'm a light worker. Yes, you are. But you know what? Positive and the positive attracts negative. So not saying that, they will be able to hop on us all the time, but they will put obstacles in our way to kind of put us in a low vibrational scenario. Like, okay, you lost your job, your electric bill's $1,000 and you're stressed out. Next thing you know, boom, they hop on you. They're called aura hoppers. Some of these beings, and that's what they'll do. It's just about being parasites, That's what they do. So that's one of the reasons why. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, I call hitchhikers, and there's an article that I wrote that Greg's reading probably in the next day or so about hitchhikers and what to do about them, and of course, the answer. Keep yourself in the state, raising your vibration, do things you love, and bring with the planet because it's everything us. And Greg and taking writing down this.
You're breaking up.
A while, and me now.
Yeah, but
everybody
it's really
out there
bad.
hear me. Let me know in the chat room if you can hear me. All right. Everybody else in that room. So what about now? Good now?
That's a little better.
We good now?
That's better. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. Well, I guess they don't want me to say this. Human resonance. I don't know if you can see that the human resonance has been like 8.8 lately, which has really gone up. Can you hear me?
No, No, you're like in slow motion.
Can everybody out there hear me? Okay. So what about now? I'm going to keep trying to talk here.
It's the same thing.
Keep trying to talk. Everybody hear me? Okay. I'm just keep trying to talk and I'm not moving around things, so anyway, so if you can hear me, maybe I'm in the chat room. Hello. Can you hear me? Yeah, people in the chat room are saying that they can't hear me either. I'm just going to put here into the living room directly up. Okay, what about now? Can everybody hear me? I'm going to keep a song.
You kind of sound like a robot. It's like coming in and out. Try it now, because it's
that's like the ultimate diss. That's like the ultimate diss to call me a robot. Anyway, I'm plugging into. Hold on just a second here. All right, can everybody hear me now? Check.
No, it's the same thing. It's like an echo. It's like a really bad echo.
Well, all right.
Hold on, there you go. There you go.
Okay, yeah, cool. All right, good. Well, yeah.
That was weird, but...
I know, a lot of times, yeah, it's like the ultimate diss to call me a robot. Hey! So what I was doing is I was talking about the Schumann resonance, which has increased. And you know, there, if you Google it, it really is hard to find any information about it. But Greg did find this Russian website that is posting it, and it seems to me, and it just makes sense to us, that the resonance of the Earth would be raising her vibrational frequency as well, because as she does that, it seems if we're raising our vibration and we are waking up to what's happening, it seems that if she's going to do that, she's doing it in symbiosis with us. And when this happens, these implants and things, they no longer take effect. It's like they don't work anymore. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. I can hear you.
Okay, good. Because some people are still saying I'm breaking up, so I just wanted to check. Maybe there's just a really bad delay on there. So go ahead. If you have anything to add about that.
It's the archons. The archons are disrupting our communication because we have too much truth going on. Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what? Yep. I'm a sovereign being on this planet, and I have the right to have this video conversation, this radio show with my guest here. And for all of these people, they're here because they made the choice to join this show, and they have the right to hear this. Mm-hmm. And so I demand at this moment in my sovereign right that I have to have a strong connection with no interruptions here. So we were talking about the implants, and so all we can talk about is what works for us, and we're here talking to these people today because we've done things that work. I mean, what makes us and all of our listeners here that are curious about this topic, what makes us wake up and other people not?
I honestly, I can't speak for others other than myself. It could be word of mouth, just us being blessed enough and really to get on here and try to reach as many viewers as possible. And then it's like a ripple effect. That could help, wake others up. But mm-hmm. What wakes other people up? Word of mouth, because without us, other people aren't going to know anything. So, some people are lucky enough to where they wake up through dream state, through positive beings. A lot of people say, well, we're on a mission, or we're here for a mission, or you're a star seed, or you're this or that. and you know, it's kind of like your wake up call. You know, you'll have a positive being just come to you and say, "Hey, buddy, guess what? But the button's pushed. You know, it's time to wake up. It's time to get it. Time to put in work. You know, it's time to help Mother Earth." And you know, being around a lot of people who use a lot of positive magic, and magic does exist, people. In case you don't think it does, magic is very real.
Well, I mean, if we live in an illusion, of course it's going to work.
Oh yes, absolutely. I've been around a lot of high priestesses, so you know, and my whole thing is that if you what you put out, you get back type of deal. So what's happening now is when we look at the dark occultists who help negative beings use implants. You know, these dark occultists. I mean, they understand how the consciousness works. They're well aware of how magic works, and it's like straight out of Star Wars. I think when I was interviewing Laura Eisenhower, one of the things that really shocked her after the show was when I talked about how to use what I call a force push. All right. Now, from having previous abductions that I've had, people who have been abducted or what I call who have been victims of negative beings, they're unable to move. You know, they can't move their body. They can't move their feet. They're full of fear. And after I was contacted by this tall feline race, some people call them the Lyrians or Lyrians or Vegans or Vegans. I don't know their exact name. And I try not to. I try to take somewhat information off the web, but I try to do more of what resonates within myself and what I'm shown. But I've literally found the capability of using. How can I say this without thinking people think I'm completely insane? Energy to fight back. Mm-hmm. Literally take your hand. Now, when we think of like the late Phil Schneider, okay, the one guy who exposed the underground bases who got killed, when we think about him, he said how some of the Zetas would put their hands right where their chest was, and boom, they shot out energy, and that's why some of his fingers had got knocked off. I'm telling you, without sounding crazy, So I was laying in the bed, all right, and this wasn't too long ago. I was laying in the bed. This was about 9-10 months ago, something like that. And I remember there was two tall dark entities, and there was a couple of smaller ones, and I couldn't move. And all of a sudden, like I heard a voice. It said, "Calm your mind, calm your mind." All right. And when I did that, mm-hmm. I just instinctively knew. I put my two hands together and pushed and jumped up. As soon as I jumped up, it's like they vanished. And I've had dreams where I would literally blue flame. Well, when I was contacted by the feline race, I was shown an altar, but it was blue flame, and I didn't really until recently understand the meaning behind the blue flames. But I just learned how to use what I would call blue energy. Literally. Yes, I can't do it in the physical, like where we're at now. I mean, I try sometimes, and like you can try to manifest it through your thoughts. They kind of like pulsate through your hands, but through astral, I call it astral magic, like force push astral magic is the best way I can think of mm-hmm. explaining what I was able to do. And that may sound crazy. I mean, does that sound crazy to you?
No, it's just a manipulation of energy, and we all knew how to do that before the bodies in Atlantis were created, and we were shoved into them, or tricked into them, actually. Mm-hmm. No, it doesn't sound crazy at all. I mean, the deal is if once you study the occult, you mm-hmm. study how you can learn by studying the dark magic, the black magic spelling. You can learn with the sigils mm-hmm. and symbols what they're doing. And once you can see how they're doing that, then you can realize that it is energy manipulation through geometry and through mathematics and through sound and light, which is all energy.
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things I also say to people, as I say, when I first woken up to the fact of everyone saying negative reptilian, negative this, negative that, I took it upon myself, and this is one of the things I always press on any radio show is, don't believe everything you hear. Take it with a grain of salt and do your own research. So I said, well, I want to find every single thing I can find out about these reptilians. And I found out quite a bit. Their traditions, how they rub their hands together and kind of get like a stimuli, if you want to call it that, their palms. This is one of the reasons why if you watch a lot of the presidents and all, they put their two hands together and they'll rub their palms. It's things that the reptilians do. I mean, I found about like their battle traditions of the female, how the female, the feminine is like very, very, very honored, and you know, they'll fight the older reptilians to kind of like knock them off. Like, in other words, if you get too old and you can't hold it down, well, they challenge them. And I found out so much about them because that, you know, when I'm presented with people telling me what's wrong or what's fake or what's this, you know, I just took it upon myself to really figure it out. And, you know, that's when I came to the conclusion, like, all reptilians aren't evil, all right? Yeah, do a majority of them not like humans or you know, that's, again, that goes back to being energy and the matrix and the planet. But, you know, to say that there aren't some on the planet that wants to see Mother Earth, you know, grow and heal, and, you know, that doesn't want us to say, because this has been going on for thousands of years. I mean, there's some of them that are tired of it. You know, they want to, you know, they want to enjoy that light, and that goes with magic too. You can't say I'm going to fight the Illuminati. You hear it all the time. You know, I'm going to fight the Illuminati, or I'm going to fight the occultists, or they're all child sacrificing parasites, which they are. But you can't fight something or even try to repel something if you don't know anything about dark magic. If you don't know anything about dark magic, if you don't know anything about the occult, well, good luck trying to do anything against them, because you cannot do anything.
No.
Unless you
Not only
know
that,
this shit.
They have advanced technology too that they're using underground bases and with attached to the satellites, and you know that's why they changed all the televisions over from UHF and VHF to digital.
You noticed that too. Yeah.
Yeah, because they needed those channels. They needed that band, that frequency band, to work with the chemtrails in unison to be able to not only trigger these implants, but trigger the HAARP and things like that. Trigger the nanoparticles in the air, trigger the nanoparticles in the food and the vaccines and the water. And I mean, here we are exposing all of this, you know, on the air. And, you know, when they do things to us, they expose it to us too, because they're supposed to, because there's a universal law that says they have to tell us what they're doing. And so they get on television and they tell us through movies, and they put it in on the internet, and they tell us what they're doing. So here we are now, and we are declaring to the universe, we know what's happening to us, and we do not consent. And we
absolutely, and not to cut you off, because I think we're like both running on hot fuel right now, you know. And we not only ask, but we demand the universe to bend to our will, to where we no longer want it. Okay, and we demand to be able to not have our free will taken anymore and manifest our own reality. And you know what? That's what we're doing. As bad as things seem, I mean, I am the only person to come out publicly about chemtrails and geoengineering in the state of Pennsylvania. Now, some people say, well, I was on VHS back in 1995. Yeah, well, okay, well, then whatever. But coming out publicly, I've done it. Ridiculed, I've been laughed at, you name it. And I've held all the geoengineering events. And this is what we need to do, though. We need to understand that it's okay to speak out, you know, especially for a lot of indigo children and starseeds. You know, a lot of you guys, you hear, well, you know, if we ignore the problems. I think I was banned from the Galactic Federation of Light Group. Well, I wasn't banned. They keep me there, but I can't post because I post real stuff. You know, and they want to live in La La Land with some of them, not all of them, and they might not be popular because we're on 5D, but let me tell you something. We cannot ignore what's going on, and because we ignore it, expect it to go away. That is not how it works. What needs to happen is we need to not obsess over negativity, all right? There's a difference between obsessing over what's going on and just saying, okay, I acknowledge what's going on, but I'm going to raise my vibration enough to pretty much destroy what's going on the sides. Now, when you let negativity overwhelm you, that's a big problem. Some of these New Age groups, what they're doing is they're saying, well, I'm just going to totally be, you know, enlighten me, save the trees, and I'm going to ignore everything. Well, when you're trying to save the trees, guess what? Trees are being burnt down purposely in California to kill our planet, okay? All right? All right. Missing children every day are being taken in these underground bases. All right. everything's going on. So because you choose to ignore the fact of Mother Earth suffering does not mean it's going to cease to happen. It's been happening. And you know what's going to happen? People who choose to ignore the negative, because like you said, you know, there's negative and positive. What's going to happen is people who ignore it, eventually the negative is going to so overwhelm the light that they're going to be kicking in your back door, taking your free roam chickens, taking your plants, telling you can't grow, you can't do this, and you can't be an independent thinker, and that's what's going to happen. Now, if we all stick together, like we're doing on this show right here, which is amazing, all right, we can pretty much, as I say through lectures, starve the parasites, you know? I mean, what do you think? What's your view on, like, just ignoring things based on...
Oh, it drives me crazy. There's so many people out there that are lost in their little... well, actually, part of the program is very ingenious. They're able to travel to the future, and with their, you know, their little looking glass, or they were before 2012, into 2012, and they've been studying for years, you know, 40, 50 years on how this is going to unfold, because, you know, there's so many different realities of how this would unfold, and they knew that if they just took the Jesus and the New Age doctrines of ascension, and they turned things around, they could get people to tell them not to focus on anything, to ignore everything, because by doing it, they were going to manifest it. But that's just twisting everything backwards, because it's already here. You're not manifesting it. You're not going to make it worse. It's already worse if you ignore it. See, that's all they can do, is they can copy and they can twist things and put a mirror to it. It's magic. That's how they do it. They mirror everything, and sometimes things are backwards and upside down as well. So absolutely believe that if you truly have a good heart, there are some people on the planet that honestly, they are so love, you know, they are love, that they won't need to know a lot of this stuff right now. I mean, seriously, they don't. But what we're here for are the people who really have a burning desire to know, because they've woken up and then they've realized that, well, maybe they have something to do. And, you know, the one thing you need to do is to stand in your sovereign power and say, no, I don't want this. Now, how can you do that? Well, you can write a decree out and you can say it out loud. You could put your decree on the internet. You can start a website. You can start a blog. You can start a Facebook group or a Facebook page. You know, anything that's public notice, just like they do. And, you know, all you have to do is, I put some examples in one of my articles that's coming up, you know, of other people who have written them, and I'm definitely going to write my own and post it, but I basically say it with my voice every day. You know, I do not consent to this. I was tricked into this with your black magic. I wasn't completely informed, and all I really want is the truth for everyone to be able to make an informed decision on how to live life as a human being on this planet and to be freed out of this prison. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, this you couldn't have said it any better than that. And, you know, again, there's nothing wrong with saying there's chemtrails, but, you know, that's not, you know, people say, well, if you focus on chemtrails, it's going to become a reality, or if you focus on Monsanto, you know, you're basically creating that, you know, you're creating that future. No, we're not, because what we're saying is that this is what's in the food, this is what's causing autism and cancer, and we're going to raise our vibration and inform people, and we are going to demand, again, the universe to out these parasites, these companies that are doing it. And the beautiful thing is that it's just, as screwed up as things are in the world, it's, you know, it's a blessing. It's just so humbling to be able to do this, to reach people.
Hey, I had a thought today.
It is. What was your thought? I
had another one of my deep Michelle thoughts.
Okay.
I was thinking, we do explain how we're being controlled, and we do explain, how we feel that they're living off of our energy because they used to be able to get energy from a planet, and the planet said enough is enough, and she's cut their energy source off. And so since humans are actually part of the planet and are connected to that energy source, that's why they want human bodies. I mean, if you think about it, I really feel a little sorry for them. I mean, I know they're doing horrible things, but they did create their own little illusion here to have their own little party, because eventually, I mean, they'll go back to source in the end. Everything came from source, right? So they starve themselves, and their ego won't allow them to, to say, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't have gone down this path, and maybe it shouldn't have gotten this bad, because they don't have any compassion. They chose negativity. But what if they're so smart that instead of, what if the universe or source is so smart that instead of corrupting this beautiful planet with actually destroying it, to allow free will beings.
Are you still there? I can't hear you. You went totally blank. Oh, there you go. Are you there? I'm not sure if you can hear me or not. Can you hear me? I can't hear anything. Hello? Hello? If you can hear me, I can't hear anything. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
There you go.
This is just confirmation. This is so.
I'm telling you. Did you hear that? And this is crazy. Did you hear that? I wasn't sure what happened. We went to a black hole or something, but they do not want us to get the word out. They do not want us to get the truth out.
Right when I was about to say this. Okay, so here goes. Are you ready?
Go ahead. Yeah, I'm ready. Go ahead.
Okay. What if the experiment was Source let them have this playground and let them put this hologram over the earth, okay? Just to have their little playground. And what if, souls came in and they incarnated, they got caught, and they didn't know that they were going to trick them and erase their memory, okay? So they came in and they tried out these human bodies. Their memories got erased, and they got stuck in this reincarnation cycle. But what if it was like, what if it is like walking out on the Star Trek holodeck, and what we decided to do is we were drawn in by them by this, like, okay, imagine this advertisement on TV. Hey, you want to come to Earth? You want to check out this new body and blah blah blah. And so you're in a holodeck, and you do it. You say, okay, yeah, let's go to Earth and let's be in a body. And then we got trapped. So what if when this is all over, it's like, we didn't corrupt the organic Earth template, but yet Source still allowed these beings to be negative and to do all this. But look at everything. People say that Earth is like a school or whatever, and for a while I was like, bullshit. I didn't sign up to come to this school, but gosh, what if we did? What if we did? Because what if, or not? I have to say, maybe not me, because I've already been there all over the universe and come back here to help free the people that got stuck. But what if humans? Yeah, it's like before you're allowed to go out and be on a Federation starship. Let's just call it that.
Yeah.
You have to learn what you don't want to be like. You have to learn that you can't
boot camp,
blow shit up. Yeah. What if?
She said blow shit up. But yeah, I love it because it's like a boot camp, And I was telling you before we got on the show about the time when I was had the dream where I went ahead and I was actually on a ship. When I would hear most people talk about that, I'm like, oh, come on, you're really getting a little crazy now, And when you're first waking up to the Matrix and what's really going on, you don't want to believe that. And I was told you I was on a ship, and they go from a 0 type civilization to a 1 to a 2 to a 3, and I was shown all this stuff by this one woman, and she had like some weird uniform on, whatever. And then another being came up and was like, "Wow, what is he doing here?" He is like was upset. It was like he's not supposed to be here. And I was kind of pushed. It kind of looked to me. If you ever played the game, it's called Mass Effect. It's an Xbox game, Xbox 360. Anyone ever plays that? And you look at what? Oh my God! It's like kind of like a table, okay? And it showed a holographic image of a planet and how the planet was growing and different things like that. You know, and then how can I explain this? Wow, and I'm trying to like envision this again. You know why I'm talking. And anyway, so they would use their hand. They would kind of get this little holographic image of each planet, and you know what level it was on, and or where they were going to go, or this or that or that. And immediately, like I literally had the whole getup and all, like the whole uniform and all. I was kind of like fake it till you make it type of deal on the ship, you know. But the one girl knew who I was, and she was kind of like showing me stuff. So I was like, shit. Well, this is okay. And then when I was actually caught being on there, I was kind of rushed out of the room and stuck in a hallway, and then boom, I just woke up into where I'm at now. Very weird.
Mm-hmm. That is
very strange.
Well, so you know, another part of this is, let's say that Earth, you know, was this beautiful vacation planet. But in order, it's really just energy, and in order, you know, to experience it, you had to be in a body with eyes and everything, you know, to experience the Matrix. And these people were enjoying it, but then it got taken over. I mean, it could be that too. They were all enjoying it and all that, but then it got taken over when they said, jump into these new bodies, you know, in this experiment. So anyway, there's just so many things I think about, and I like to run it by people and see, you know, because I have a vivid imagination, I can tell you that. But one thing that I did want to get to is we have a caller that I'd like to bring on, and then we can jump back into this if you'd like to. Okay. And so this is my friend, also from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Andrew Fisher. Welcome to the Cosmic Awakening Show.
Right. How you doing? Okay, first of all, Michelle, where do you get the crazy idea that I am a hybrid?
That you're a hybrid.
I heard everything that you said before the show. When you muted my mic, it didn't go to the background music before the show. I could hear the whole conversation between you and the guest, so I heard you say you think I'm a hybrid. Where do you get that crazy idea?
Well, I think, first of all, everybody on this planet is a hybrid of one type or another. But one thing that is about you, Andrew, is you don't seem to have any sense of humor whatsoever. I mean, I can make a joke, and man, it just right over your head. So don't take it as you know, anything bad. Take it as a compliment, because I can recognize who you are. I can recognize that you're all business.
Hey, hybrids need love too, you know. So that's what the show's all. We're in 5D now, so everybody. What's going on, Andrew? How you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's great to be speaking to a fellow Philadelphian on the night of a full moon. I'm from the suburbs, but I was born in the city, so I can call myself a Philadelphian. You lived with Mark Passio. I've run into the guy a few times down in Philly. Awesome guy. I actually went through the trouble of taking notes while watching his occult mockery of police and military personnel, and then calling into some law radio show to talk about how the badges and the hats and the logos that police and military personnel wear affects them at a subconscious level, and they wouldn't be such assholes if they weren't wearing those things that affects them at a subconscious level. So yeah, I'm familiar with that guy. What do you see in Mark that makes you think he's so cool?
So your question is about Mark Passio, then?
Well, more than that, but just for the hell of it, I thought.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you know, when I first, first of all, I mean, I'd like to thank Mark and his wife for even, you know, having me in the house. It was a great time, and you know, we actually went to a lecture together, and he was there when I was speaking, doing my UFO presentation. So I mean, he's a great guy. Was very consciously awake individual, and just an all in all great guy. No, I have nothing really bad to say about Mark. Mark's a really hell of a guy.
Yeah, everybody should watch that New Age 7-hour YouTube video about the New Age deception and the suppression of the divine masculine. You always hear about the suppression of the divine feminine, but never the divine masculine.
Sure. Yeah,
the New Age does.
Absolutely. Right. I mean, Mark's mind is really, really awake, and it's just, again, the universe really works in mysterious ways because it brings us all together. You know what I mean? Me meeting Mark, me going to Mark's house, me going to a lecture with Mark and his wife, him coming to my presentation, you being, on the show asking questions. I mean, the universe seems to really get us all together to really wake up the world, and that's what it's all about. I mean, you have your radio show, I do my thing with a little part-time radio show plus my activism, whatever else, and Mark's obviously all over the place with what he does, and we're just one big melting pot family of enlightened individuals trying to really wake people up and get them to understand what the hell's going on because they need to,
Right, and with that being said, can I trust that I will see you and Mark Passio when the Pope comes to Philadelphia in September? You're going to be protesting.
Holy shit.
We'll be. I'll tell you what. If you don't see Mark Passio or me there, well, then there's something really going on. There something happened because I mean, we're always ready. I mean, and I think I can speak on Mark's behalf when I say that when the time comes, we will definitely be ready.
Definitely. By the way, I thank you for befriending me on Facebook. I did send you that friend request, and I saw you befriending me. I see on your logo, I recognize that. That's Ground Zero in New York. Does it piss you off as much as it does me that the vast majority of the people in the 9/11 Truth movement do not want to talk about the provable fact that the planes were holograms and that some sort of direct energy weapon took down the Twin Towers, and nobody in the 9/11 Truth movement wants to talk about that because they fear it's going to discredit the Truth movement, and I think that's kind of pathetic. So does that disturb you about the Truth movement or not?
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, holographic or not, what disturbs me is that, millions and millions and millions of people just refuse to wake up to the fake reality that we live in full of parasites that control us. So that first and foremost pisses me off more than anything. And holographic or not, nothing surprises me. Nothing, surprises me with the tactics of these parasites. I mean, it was a sacrificial setup, in my opinion. All right, and it's not so much about what pisses me off when I find the truth. It's more about what the hell can I do to, like what you're saying is give the truth to people and empower others to empower others. I mean, so to answer your question, it doesn't piss me off when people don't have knowledge. It pisses me off that when I try to bring people knowledge, that they refuse to either take that knowledge, or when they get it, they want to sit on their ass and not empower other people. So I hope that answers your question, man.
All right.
Did you have time for one more question, or do you need?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to stay on topic of the Matrix and what's going on here.
No, go ahead. If you guys don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, in regards to the since it's the night of a full moon, I think it only makes sense to ask you if you subscribe to the idea that the planet Saturn's rings are crystalline and synthetic, and they broadcast holographic energy to the moon, which amplifies that energy down to Earth to suppress Earth's feminine energy and keep us in the illusion of time and all the other things that keep us in a matrix, the Saturn moon matrix. Do you think there's truth to that?
Well, I'm not sure if it's the energy coming from there, but I'll tell you one thing about the moon, that the moon definitely has a lot of influence on what's going on with us on planet Earth. One of the big influences is us being reincarnated and trapped here and not being able to incarnate off this planet. So, the moon plays a huge role, in my opinion, brother, on, what's really going on with just us as a whole, especially what I call when you die, you're supposed to see the light, at the end of the tunnel. And I've done a presentation on that where that's total BS, and that actually comes from the moon, and that the moon is basically there set up to fake us out, so that way it's the carnation trap to come back here and thus feed the parasites that control this prison planet.
Yes, John Lear told me about that in my interview with him, about how the opposite side.
And I've never even seen his work. Again, all the information that I get is based off of just really information downloaded. And when we think of people like John Lear or anyone else who are really incredible free thinkers, where do they get their information from? Some people are whistleblowers, some people aren't. But when we look at how the human makeup is, literally, as I said earlier, we can have stuff downloaded to us. And, when you go out and you meet decent people like Mark and, you meet decent people that are in activism and you really want to just be a positive person and raise your vibration and fight against the tyranny and what's going on in the world, things are presented to you, And I know the moon is something I'm very strongly against because, I think that's one of the main reasons why we are continuously recycled, and we continue to play this ball game over and over and over again.
Yeah, right. I agree. They think even Hollywood puts the man in the moon with a fishing pole, fishing for souls on one of their symbols for Hollywood.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And another thing is with Hollywood, and when we talk about Hollywood, all these people who say, well, I'm going to, put subliminal messages out that, well, this is going on, or 9/11, or this or that, or this or that. We have to understand how karma works, okay? So they want to escape that karmic kick in the ass. They want to escape that karmic backlash. So even some of the elitists, where they'll say, well, this is happening, but, if you're not mentally enlightened enough to empower yourself, then you deserve to be poisoned in the air and poisoned in food and so forth. So, they kind of tease us with the truth, and by doing so, they escape we're talking about people that are cultists. They're, they know how the universe works. So they're escaping that karmic backlash, and it's kind of, we'll give you some truth, but it's up to you to empower yourselves. And not only that, like the guy was questioning about, the 9/11 people, not only empower yourselves, but to empower others. Because, I could talk about how the planes were holographic or the planes were this or that. And that may be true. I didn't look into that. I would, but it may be true. But if it is the truth, once given the truth and you have the option to research it, if it is or isn't fact, okay, if you find it to be fact, again, it comes down to what are you willing to do with that knowledge? Because knowledge, they say knowledge is power. Knowledge isn't power unless you empower yourself to use that knowledge to empower others.
Exactly.
I hope that makes sense.
Definitely makes sense.
Cool. Okay. Well, Andrew, you can take me on a ride in your spaceship anytime, buddy.
All right. Probably in my dream state when I'm sleeping, out doing other things, maybe at that time, but not on this, not when I'm awake. Sorry. I don't own a rocket ship.
All right. Thanks for calling in, Andrew.
Talk to you later. Take care.
Okay.
Bye.
So speaking of hybrids, earlier I was talking about being able to recognize when you're, even on Facebook or, when you're at the grocery store, being able to recognize, a mantid being. Like, I'm not saying that Simon Parks is a hybrid, which I wouldn't be surprised if he was, but he says he was raised by mantis. Oh, gosh, I hope I get it right. I can't remember if it's mantid beings or mantis beings.
I think it's
corrected
mantis.
me.
Yeah, I think it's mantis.
He corrected me. It's one or the other, but, sorry, Simon, I can't remember which one. But he was raised by them. Basically, he had a mother, that was a mantid, I think, a mantis being. So you
like
would
a praying mantis, I think.
Yeah, you would think that they would be, have to have that kind of DNA in order to have the vibration to, to even talk to them or see them. Just like you said, he must have a very high vibration, and he must be able to have that DNA. So that's kind of like the code that I've been talking about, seeing through things and seeing things for what they really are in the Matrix. And it's kind of like having your sunglasses on from the movie They Live. And there was another movie that I just, there's another movie that I watched. I'd like to watch the movies now because I really can decode and understand what they're trying to tell us. But this is called Millennium. And there was a woman who she was a time traveler, a very experienced time traveler, and she was seducing this guy to try to keep him from being at a certain place the next day, which would cause a paradox. And paradoxes, I mean, this woman was a positive time traveler. They were out doing things to keep people from dying. In planes, like they would come and take the plane, put it through a worm, open up a Stargate, take all the people off, and they had a copy of those people already prepared to put back on the plane with no souls in them. Then they would take those people and put them on another planet. Anyway, so there was this seductress, right? And she was very beautiful, of course. And of course, these kind of people have the technology to, have a perfect body and heal themselves and stuff. So tell us about your experience with someone who had come to you in a very low part of your life to help push you through.
Ooh, the questions tonight. I'm telling you, you must be how do the viewers not know you're not from the future? How do we know you're not planning to come here and bring enlightenment to us all? I mean, come on with these questions. Wow. Yeah. So this is great. Yeah, so, I've said this on multiple radio shows, and, if you want to hear it, here. Well, I'll get into my experience with the actual hybrid, if you want to hear it, but I'm going to, do you want to talk about my experiences with the hybrid, or do you want to hear my experience on how to see a hybrid, or who I think is a hybrid? I know Paris Hilton is. I'm just going to come out and say that right off the bat. Paris Hilton. Cool. Look at her face. She has the chin that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, do they have technology, or are they sucking down monatomic gold, or sniffing it, or what are they doing? I mean, plastic surgery.
Are they sniffing it?
Well, doing?
I mean, if you're a hybrid, I don't think you would have to use the old blood technique that the full-blooded reptilians would have to do to actually keep human form. But if you're a hybrid, I think you should be able to. I mean, I'm guessing that you should be able to just shape shift or with will. So to get on the story of my experience. I was in the Army, and I figured I'd try it out, whatever. And I was just like, well, this isn't for me. I'm done. I don't want to be here anymore. I said, now at this time, I was just getting my feet wet, in underground bases and different things like that. So,
Well, that's where it started, I guess. You had to be in the military to actually figure out something was really wrong, huh?
Well, no. I mean, before I was even in the military, I was just getting my feet wet in like what was going on with studying the work of with Phil Schneider, reading his stuff, and again, like I say, take things with a grain of salt. Some things resonate, some things don't. But and that's with anyone. The other viewer was talking about Mark Passio earlier, even him. Okay, I met the guy, wonderful individual. But I'm sure even he would say, some things I may say may resonate with you, some things won't. I mean, that's with anyone that we, even come in contact with. So I was just getting my feet wet. And when I was in the Army, I just, something, how you just have that inner instinct. This is not right, And it's funny because when you're in boot camp, they put you on what's called a cattle truck. Well, that's what they call it. It's called the cattle truck. They line your keys all up in there and take you to boot camp. Then you go from there, you go to A school and stuff like that. Well, I was in St. Louis, Missouri, in Fort Leonard Wood, and I was just like, enough is enough. I'm like, I don't want to be here. I was like, I'm done. I don't even want to do this. And basically, I said, I said the only thing I could think to really piss off the lieutenant. I was like, I know about underground bases. I know about reptilians, and I'm going to expose to all the troops what's really going on. And from that point, he was just like, huh? It kind of got that look like, what did he just say to me? And from that point, he was just like, well, if you don't want to be here, fine. You're out of here. So while being discharged, they had us all at like a little round table, and, we were getting ready. They had like a little section where you got discharged at, whatever. And, there was a girl there. Okay. She was sitting there, and she smiled at me, and it was a pleasant thing to see a pretty girl smiling at you while you're being discharged out of the Army, especially when you have it rough when you're telling like lieutenants and all to go F themselves and things like this. So so she smiled, and there's no for what's it called, fraternization. I don't know what it's called when you talk to each other. You're not allowed to do that in the military. You're not allowed to communicate male female and like have like relationships. when we were leaving, we weren't allowed to do it. But I'm sure you can have relationships if like you're in there or whatever. But so what we would do is we would send each other notes in our ACU hats. Okay, if anyone doesn't know what ACU, it's an alternate combat uniform, and we would put like notes and love letters, different things. Hey, you're cute, this and that. What did you do today? Stuff like that. The weird thing was when I got discharged. Okay, this is the weird thing. She got discharged on the same day. I'm at the airport, ready to. Oh yeah, of course. So I'm ready to come back to Philadelphia. Got to come back to Philly, and she's like, "Well, you're not going back to Philly. We're going to a hotel." I'm like, "Huh? What do you mean we're going to a hotel? No, we're not. We're going back to Philadelphia." And she's like, "No, we're not. You're coming with me." And damn sure, I sure as hell, I didn't go where I was supposed to go. So yeah, so that was part one, and after that, she was in Virginia, and I was in Philly, and she would call me on the phone and tell me everything that was in my room. At the time, I was living in my mom's house in the basement, okay? And she would say, well, that's a nice sheet you have on the wall, or stuff like that. Stuff that, like, literally you would not be able to know unless you either astral traveled or could read minds. Okay? And then from there, I think it was, she came to Philly after that, and we would just spend time with each other in Philly. And the one thing I knew that she had abnormally strong lower body strength, kind of like a gymnast, but she wasn't. Yeah, like I don't mean like in a sexual way. I mean I'm just saying.
Yeah.
No, but like I mean like strong, like aerobics. You know what I'm saying? Like literally, we're getting to the genetics of the hybrids. Like not in a sexual way. Right. Like I'm not going to get like in the details.
A
right,
reptilian
exactly.
Human, what do you call that? Biped? Anyway, a reptilian that stands on 2 feet, 2 legs.
Sure, right. But they were saying, they have like huge muscles and all. So the one thing, like, it was weird because, like, well, here's the thing is that, like, she would, like, literally wrap her legs around my waist and, like, flip back, no problem. And I'm just like, wow, I can't believe, just playing, like, playing around. Wasn't nothing sexual about it. So
you knew something was really different about her.
Well, at that time, like, again, I was just getting my feet wet, and I think it had a lot to do with the fact that I opened my mouth when I was getting out of the Army. So she was kind of like sent to spy on me, if you want to call it that. Now, this is true, because I still talk to her to this day. But, so what had happened was I noticed stuff like that, and then there was one day where I woke up and her eyes weren't the same. Like, when you're just waking up and your eyes are opening up, like she was kind of sitting next to me. And I can say telepathically, I heard, I know every single thing about you. Wow. Like that is what I got. Yeah, it's crazy shit. It's crazy stuff. So, and then it was really an inspiration down the road because we're going to get into it. I'm going to take up too much time of this, but so then from that point, she was living, I think, at her ex. She was supposedly married or something, and she got divorced. And she's like, "Hey, look, come on down to Virginia. I got my own house." Which, at the time, if you put 2 and 2 together, would make entirely no sense. Like, why would that even be? So me being a guy, and I'm not a bad-looking dude, so I'm like, hell, all right, cool, let's go hit it off, and come and pick me up. She came and picked me up. We went down, and when I got to Virginia, we were having sex, and as we were having sex, she shape-shifted. Yes, I've seen it. I know what the hell I was looking at first. I'm telling you, yeah, dude, it was there, and you know what? I'm gonna get into actually how she explained to me like 2 years afterwards, confirming what I saw to let me know I wasn't completely frigging insane. So we were having sex, and her left leg. So you figure I'm on top of a woman, and my right leg's on her left leg, and we're getting it in. Times are good, and her whole left thigh, her whole left arm, and pretty much her whole damn left body just went brown, like dark, like a monitor. If you had a monitor lizard, it would look like that. Like some people say, well, reptilians are green. They have different colors for a reason. I mean, I know that now, but it went straight brown on me and rough, and I was like, what the frick? So I wasn't scared as I was just like, what the hell is going on? But I kept going, if that makes any sense. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I felt like this weirdness. Most people say like I throw them off of me. You always hear the story like, oh my God, this guy's on top of me. I see a tail, I toss him off me. It was weird because like she held me tighter. Like, you know how you have your arms around a man when he's making love, obviously, and she held me? It was like she wanted me to see this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like she knew, but I also...
There's some people that have seen attachments, you know, as well, like
sure. Well, that's what she said down the road. Absolutely. Yeah, that's what she said down the road. She explained to me why things were the way they were. But when this had happened, you know, I had this overwhelming feeling of being used at that time. I felt like a piece of meat. Like, it was kind of like, because I guess at the time, she had got me tighter, we finished or whatever, you know what I mean by finished. We're not going to get into that. But so then after, like, right at that point of like excitement, and this is why I get into like energetic stuff. At that point of excitement, it was just like, right after that, I had this feeling of like, yeah, I got you, you're mine type of deal. Like, you're just a puppet, you know? And she let me loose, and we looked at each other, and I didn't think much of it. She went in the other room, and the whole night just felt awkward. She drove me home. I didn't talk to her for roughly, like 2-3 years after that, something like that. And she got a hold of me on Facebook. This is right when I had made a YouTube video. It was called the Alien Invasion, Holographic Fake Alien Invasion, something like that. To that. And it's still up on my YouTube. And she was mad at me. She's like, yo, you know, who do you think you are trying to reach all these people talking all this stuff? And I was like, well, listen, I mean, what's the problem, you know? And I'm like, she's like, well, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm like, what? She's like, what if I'm what you're fighting against? And I was just like, wow, you know, like, holy crap. She's like, what if I'm what you're fighting? And at this time, I was like, anti-Lizzie this, anti-Lizzie that, you know? Not to where I'm at now, where I'm kind of like, all right, some are good, some are bad. But, you know, so I was like, all right,
what you learn from it?
Well, I'm going to get to that.
What you learned from it?
I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that in a second. But the one thing I asked her, and I think any normal human being that didn't have a, you know, understanding what they've seen, I asked her, I said, well, I'm not going to get into details. I said, but is what I've seen true? And that's when she said, yeah. That's when she said, yes, exactly what you've seen happened. But what if I was what you're fighting against? And my response was, no matter what, you will always be beautiful in my eyes. And that was the breaking point to where I went from all reptilians were evil to kind of like, well, let me do my own research. Let me enlighten myself to raise my vibration to find things. And that was one of the beautiful things that, you know, when I look at it now, I'm just like, wow, I wish I could have that experience now, knowing what I know now. Because if we would be inseparable, you know what I mean? Because I would have that acceptance now to where, like, it wouldn't even bother me. Not that I haven't seen people shapeshift recently, but it wasn't like a romantic thing. You know what I mean? So one of the things I've learned from it, one of the things I learned from it was that reptilians are very sneaky if they're on the evil side. Very, very, reptilian species are very antsy, like, I don't know, like very fidgety, like kind of very pushy to some extent. Some of them, not all of them, but very demanding. I don't know if that's due to the way that they look at human beings, or, you know, because you got to understand they have their own code, they have their own honor system, all other shit. So, you know, unless they find you, that their whole mating system is, they're asexual, but besides that, their whole mating system is based off of pick or choose, or this or that, or this or that. So if you're not a warrior, everything with them is warrior. You have to earn your right. You have to earn your keep. You can't just be some deadbeat. But so I mean, you know, unless they have to find you fitting in order to treat you good. If they don't find you fitting, then you're just some piece of trash, like deadbeat zombie human who they're probably going to employ at a pizzeria and treat you like shit the whole time you work there. So,
right.
You know, and you know, but
you
they're
don't
very
stand up for yourself, and,
right?
And
you're just food for them,
right?
Yeah. And you know, here's my thing. Here's another thing I learned from them. I'm not going to lie to you. Here's another thing I learned. When I started really spreading love, and this is why I love the whole 5D show. This is great, because I want to say this is very humble to be on the show, and I'm going to say thanks to Greg and everyone for having me again, because I am humbled to be here. Because I always said to people, everyone's like, wow, you're just this wild kicking Fox News doors, like, you know, Fox 29 News door activist, and you'll never merge universalism with activism. I said, bullshit. I said I will merge the two. I'm going to merge love vibrational universalism with activism. People like, Paul, people that are in the universalism on a higher vibrational level than you, it'll never happen. I said, fuck it, then I'll raise my vibration and I'll bring them together. Because when people that are in universalism, it's happening right now. That's why I interviewed Laura. When I tried to interview Laura years ago, I sent her a message. She I never got nothing back. Never got nothing back. But as soon as you raise your vibration to where the woman is right now, that's when the magic happens.
That's because that's the law of vibrational resonance.
It is. It's a beautiful thing. And again, that's why it's beautiful that I'm even on here. But to get back to the reptilians, when I went ahead and I started standing up for all of them, because I had a vision of, there's different classes of reptilians. Some of them look a little more dino than the other ones. Some of them don't. And, some of them care about humanity, but because there's ranks and different structures,
hierarchy.
Sort of kind of like how humanity is. But, they can only do so much for us because, they're not going to screw their own species over. You know what I mean? They're not going to do that.
Right. They still have to follow orders.
Right, exactly. So what had happened was when I started saying everybody's beautiful, not only humanity, not only me, not only you, but everybody. That's when light workers and starseeds were like, yes, he's finally friggin' getting it. He's finally getting it. Because when I first started doing activism, I was reaching a hell of an amount of people. And a lot of people that were in universalism was like, they wanted to come to me, but I wasn't on that vibrational level yet. Because, with all think about it this way. With all the people you guys reach, if I can take your vibrational, I hate when I start, information and say to activists, hey, look, you may think the water's polluted, but there's another way. It's called raise your vibration. Or you may think that Monsanto's here, but there's another way. It's called, these are the parasites that are doing it. Raise your vibration. And through any video, even when I first started, I always pressed the importance of love vibration, but I just wasn't on that vibrational level enough. So when I started speaking out for other beings, just the magic happened. I mean, shit, I started, I was telling you, how to be able to see hybrids, different things like that, people smiling at me, and even seeing the dark ones. But, wow, the journey.
I'd like to interject on that. I mean, I know that I've been working on my vibration, and I know that's what I've been talking about ever since I've started writing articles and been on the radio show. But some of us chose that way not to see them. That's one thing I guess that I chose not to do because I don't see them. So it doesn't mean that if you don't see them, doesn't mean that you haven't raised your vibration. But also, there's agreements that you made before you came in that they would contact you. And the last thing I wanted to say is that if we can't if there are some of them that have realized that they're trapped here, just like they've trapped us. So their karma's a bitch, and they can't get out, and they have two choices, and that's to return back to source, or they can, be reconstituted into space dust, or, I'm sorry, this is the third choice, they can switch sides of the fence. And all they need to do is, especially if they're hybrid and they have some human DNA, all they have to do is learn love and compassion. And they can learn that from us. And they've been trying to do that for a long time.
Well, see, sister, that's how it is. And for everyone that's listening that's new, this is something to grow off of. And this is the beautiful thing about, as I was talking to the one speaker that was on, what was his name again? Andrew, yeah. It's a beautiful thing because we all connect. You know what I mean? We all wind up connecting with each other. And it's great. And for the veteran starseeds out there and activists that are going to hear this, I hope it makes you feel good because, that the battle for raising vibration and bringing truth and from Mother Earth it's not going to stop.
Well, the highest vibration is love. And if you want to put them in kind of rank or order, which, I guess since we are in this type of, environment, we can think on those kind of terms with our brain. Truth is the next thing. So,
sure.
When you want to talk to people who are activists but don't have this either they don't have a spiritual side of themselves, or they don't have
a lot of them don't,
or esoteric, which is the black magic part, the occult, the hidden. If they haven't gotten the whole picture, you can always get through to them when, instead of saying raise your vibration, you can talk about, the golden rule, treating other people like you'd want to be treated, opening up your heart. Most of the people on the planet, their heart chakra is closed down because they've been so beaten down and they've been so hurt. And they just need to find a way to really spend time with themselves and open up that heart chakra, because any human on the planet has that capability, and it's just either been closed down on purpose from, them trying to keep the vibration low, or they're a hybrid and they're more negative based than positive based, and they just can't help it. I mean,
that's true.
So talking about love and talking about truth are two ways that you can tell people who are activists that don't understand this bigger picture how to raise their vibration.
Oh, absolutely. And when we say love, is the highest vibration, that doesn't mean that, you're not going to get mad and tell the guy who just cut you off to go after himself. I mean, yeah, you're going to have them days. It's not like you're not going to have. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's part of truth.
Right.
But you do want
that's how the love and truth mix, right?
Yeah, it's like it's almost like they're not opposites, but they're opposites within the positive polarity, which is where we're moving. Opposites in the matrix are, like I had described, extreme negative and extreme positive, and you can only have creation when it's balanced. Well, when it has its opposite. That doesn't mean, when we say balanced, that doesn't mean that it's in the 0 point. That's not really what I'm talking about as far as that. But in the positive polarity, you can also have balance. And that would be, truth and love can be balanced in the positive polarity. So you can still, you don't have to, you don't bow down to people. You don't lay down and roll over when people are treating you like crap.
Sure.
But on the other hand, you learn how to use compassion and have tact and deal with people without raising your voice. If you get angry, that's fine. You're letting that out. But every time you get angry, you're also healing yourself, because you're realizing, what did that get you? How bad did you feel afterwards? Sure. And the compassion and the empathy comes in. So it's all one big natural way, one big natural game of learning how to be love, how to be who you really are.
Absolutely. And then that's how, when we talk in activism about the disinformant agents that are on Facebooks and the government agents that are disinformants, when we get into universalism, excuse me, one of the things that I have found to be true is that you have disinformants in universalism, like disinformant indigo children and fake light workers.
Exactly.
I mean, they're there. Because we are dealing with beings that are parasites, energy-sucking parasites that built this matrix and want to keep us down. And what they're going to do is how we were talking about right now is that it's okay to not be perfect. We're here, trapped here, because we aren't frigging perfect. All right? So we have to understand that it's okay to, have a bad day at work and come home and say, screw this, I want to have a beer and, curse at the wall, but it's okay. It's okay to be normal, because that's I've never met a human being or a reptilian. I met quite a few of both that aren't like perfect. We're not expected to be these esoteric beings, because we're where we're at to become what we're going to become. So, when I see the disinformants in universalism, and they're like, well, love is the highest vibration, and I don't cuss, I don't do this, I don't do that. Well, either because you're probably a planet hybrid, and some of them, you see the starseed groups and all that, and they're just misleading so many young kids, so many youngsters that are just really waking up to this. They're just like drawing them in like a magnet. It's just disgusting, It's disgusting because they're not really giving them the universal nourishment that they need, which is truth of how things are. They're just saying, they're just saying this is how it is, and this is, just believe in what I say, meditate 9 to 5, like 20 hours a day, and believe in love. And
I never
not
was
that
able
meditation
to do that.
Yeah, exactly. So not that meditation is bad if that's your thing, but, we've talked about earlier about, in order to really nourish and grow the soul, we have to understand, that you can have all this esoteric positive knowledge, all that you want, but what's the point of just keeping it in one group? Or what's the point of just hanging around with a bunch of meditators who grow their own chickens and, want to be positive all the time? Why wouldn't you want to wake up people that are active instead of asleep? Why wouldn't you want to put your ass on the line and, really get your elbows dirty?
I have to interrupt. I have to say that we do need both. But what the main thing that I see is judgment. The main thing one of the main problems, one of the main diseases on this planet is judgment of other people. Because everybody...
That's the ego, though. The ego works within that. But go ahead.
Well, everybody is seeing this through their own eyes, but it's also mixed with their soul that has come into the body. And the soul has all these other experiences, this wisdom that they carry from either other lifetimes on Earth or lifetimes on other planets, other galaxies, or whatever. So every soul has the wisdom, and the humans are tied into that because they're connected. They're still connected, and that's what people forget. And so everybody has their own individualism, even though we all came from one energy source. And so we have to realize that. And if people can just learn how to be themselves, but yet treat each other with respect and non-judgment, but yet that doesn't mean you can't have an opinion. It just means that you state what you feel about somebody. And the one thing that people need to learn is to quit taking things personal, because people see things different about other people, and everybody sees their own reality. But B, there's a lot of people out there that are being that have the implants that are being triggered when they're around you. Specifically, if you wake up, you can have family members, or you can have your friends, your very best friends, or your mother or your father triggered, and they can say things that will hurt your feelings, or they know your trigger points, basically. So you got to learn not to take those things personal. As an observer, this is how you recognize a trigger. I mean, normally that they wouldn't be wanting to hurt you. Or let's say that you had an abusive father, or you had an abusive member of your family or whatever.
Well, even a really, really, really abusive upbringing. I hear that.
Yeah, I can relate. So, but all that could be basically planned out from
people. We're in 5D.
Yeah, well, like Andrew Passio. Somebody, can you hear me?
I can hear you good. Can you hear me?
Okay. And yes, Andrew Passio is one who talks about Project Pegasus, where they, they went, they came to him back when he was younger and said, "We've been to the future," or something. I don't know. And we can tell that you're. Well, he found out that they came back into time to make sure that they tried to put him on a different path because they could see what he did in the future.
Absolutely.
So, in other words,
Absolutely.
They've done that to a lot of people that they knew on the planet that were going to wake up.
Influential, right? And Stuart Swirler talks a lot about that too. I actually interviewed that man, and
I did too.
Yeah, and I would tell you what, I asked him that. I said, "Well, do women come and have a relationship with you, or do this or do that to kind of knock you off course?" He said, "Absolutely." He said, "Absolutely." They do. Well, what he was basically saying,
responsible once we wake up for our own thoughts and actions.
Sure, absolutely.
And be completely aware and awake. It's not like we can't trust anybody, but what we do need to realize is that everyone on this planet has this brain that can be triggered, period, until you raise your vibration to a certain level, and then there's always that moment where you get caught off kilter. And
they'll get you. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah,
they'll get you.
Until the Earth's going to raise their vibration, and things are going to really their stuff's going to stop working. That's what's going to happen. So
you have to learn how to. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, there is a bright side here, but what I was getting to this point, and I think that's what you're about to say. You have to learn how to recognize what's happening and be the observer.
Absolutely. You really do. I mean, because, once you're awake, especially on, not to be ego, because I don't like that, but, when you're on a certain level of awakeness, it's like, you have to, like, say to yourself, like, oh, these are the things in life I want, whether it be a boyfriend with a really well-built body who treats you like a goddess and stuff like that. You could say, well, I'm tired of being single, and I'm awake, I'm a starseed, and I'm a single woman, and, I would really love to have someone to hold me and tell me how beautiful I am. All right? You got to watch out for that, because that ugly guy that you may think is ill, might be the starseed to really make you happy, whereas the parasite might throw, the parasite's going to throw you, Fabio-looking dude with long hair and with crystal blue eyes that says he's a starseed, and he's going to suck your energy dry and treat you like crap, and pretty much be the best lover in the world, and mind manipulate you, and you're going to be like, oh my God, this man is amazing, and he's going to pretty much knock you off your path.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's how they do it. That's how they do it.
Yeah, I went through that a lot of time in my life, and one thing I learned about finding somebody finally that that we have the same path is that I put a decree out to the universe, and one day I just got really pissed and used that energy as my truth, and I said, look, I'm not going to do this if I can't have a partner that is on my side, and all of his guides are on my side, and you forget about the way people look, although I'm very fortunate that mine's a hunk. Forget about the way people look, and don't that's all programming. That's a program running in your mind, because when you watch television, how many people in your real world look like, unless you live in the suburbs of Hollywood, how many people really look like you see on television?
Not many, unless they got a lot of money to wear all that fake makeup and all that junk. Yeah,
that is
not many.
All a complete. It's a program. They've programmed us to think that's what normal reality is. So everybody's trying to live up to that program, and nobody ever thinks that they're good enough. So once you start loving who you are for what you look like, love. If you think you have imperfections, love them. Love your imperfections. And once you get the love for yourself going, then you have raised your vibration, and you will attract that person into your life that is ready, that you're ready for.
That is the most amazing, beautiful thing I've ever heard on any radio show I've ever been on. I mean, tonight is a blessing again. Do you guys listen to what she just said? Do you? Because that's one of the number one thing that's wrong with people in the world. People are so conditioned, again, by the parasite, to believe you have to look like Barbie. Oh my God, you weigh 170 pounds and you're only 5'4". You're disgustingly ugly. And what you said right there was inspiring. Hopefully to a lot of males and females out there. That was really beautiful, because and it's true, because what they're doing is they're pretty much making people obsessed over things that distract them from stuff like what we're doing. You understand? People working 9 to 5 at Walmart, 9 to 5 at Wawa. Like, oh shit, I gotta go out and get that Les Taylor perfume. I can't be stinking. I gotta go. I gotta go out and make sure my hair is curled up, and I got a nice man, and it's just, that's the matrix. It's around and around and around and around we go.
Yeah,
and what you said is so beautiful. But go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Listen, we were talking about people. We were talking about people. Just being all love and light, and not doing anything really. I don't know. I don't want to put them down, because earlier, what I was really going to explain is that...
real quick. Not to cut you off, even though I did. I'm going to let you get back to... Yeah, but no. You're not putting them down. What you're doing is letting people who are asleep know those people's mistakes, so that people who are just waking up don't fall into that trap. So technically, you're not putting them down, so don't feel bad about putting them down. What you're doing is you're not putting them down, you're just putting their ways in the open, so that way, say, if I'm a newcomer, I can say, oh shit, well, now I know not to go that route. But go ahead. Sorry for cutting you off.
Well, you need to get to where you earned that right to just be there and be all love and light. That's really what I want to say, because believe it or not, it does take a lot of work. If you had a lot of implants, or you had a lot of things happen to you in your life that were put in your life to keep you from raising your vibration, you've got a lot of work to do on yourself. And it's not hard work, because just think of who you are inside. I mean, you know, how can you not love that? It's not hard work, but you do have to be aware, and you can't fall back asleep under the lull of the things that are going on around you. And so what I really wanted to say about that is that includes your partner. You can't be working on yourself and be raising your vibration, and then your partner falls into the distraction again, because then you can't see eye to eye and you don't understand each other, and sometimes it gets to where you can't even talk the same language, and it's all a personal choice, and it's very heartbreaking. But sometimes, you know, people have to fall out of your lives and new people have to come into your life, and sometimes even that wake up call itself is enough to get your partner, whether they understand what's happening energetically or not, but it breaks something open in them to where they do try to figure out what it is about them that no longer was in a vibrational resonance. But what they do is, in their mind, they think, why did you fall out of love with me? And so that's really what that means. Falling out of love with somebody is falling out of a vibrational resonance. So, you know, people are going to come and go in your life, and it's hard. I mean, it's hard to deal with that. But there's always a match that you had set up. There's people, you know, your soul family, you know, that you had, and it may not even be your soul family. It could be another soul family that you really need to do a galactic mission with. I mean, those are really exciting things to think about.
Absolutely. And another thing to touch base on, since we're, you know, really getting into, you know, working on the individual self, would be, ladies, gentlemen, don't just settle for anyone because you're afraid of being alone. I've seen this happen so many times with friends of mine. You know, they just, you know, they're so afraid of being alone, and they're so afraid of, you know, just not being held. And listen, I'm a single father. It's me and my kid, okay? I haven't been in a relationship in 6 months, but I'll be damn sure I'm not going to, A, bring a woman into my daughter's life that's not good enough to be in my life and her life, and B, settle down with someone I'm not compatible with. And, you know, I think that comes with self-empowerment, because there's so many of you guys out there that just, you know, you really, you know, go ahead and you just settle because of being alone, and you're miserable. And again, that's a part of the matrix. That's a part of the plug-in. You know, they want that person in your life. Especially, it's tragic, but a lot of starseeds, like you said, how, you know, the matrix will go ahead, and these parasites will set scenarios in your life. And again, Stuart talks about this too. But, you know, they'll set different scenarios up in our lives to where, like, you know, you'll wind up getting that job at Walmart instead of going to that rally, which could wake up thousands of people against Monsanto. Or you'll wind up going to, you know, your boyfriend will call you up and go, hey, babe, look, man, I'm going to really have this really banging-ass movie, and it's really cool, hon. Come to the house and watch it. Don't worry about going to the meditation group. Don't worry about going to the lecture that, you know, Paul Wesley's having, or whoever's having, you know. Just come to the house and, you know, like, yay, I'm just saying, you know. So I got like 2 lectures I did that I didn't even post on YouTube yet. But don't worry about his lectures. He's just some egotistical, you know, activist. You know, don't worry about him. Come to the house and hold me, and, you know, we'll watch the new Dumb and Dumber movie, and that's how the Matrix works. You know what I'm saying? Yes, you have to
outsmart, outwit, and outplay.
Yeah,
that's what we're here. We can treat this as
and
a
hope
game.
You don't get I mean, but what do you think about life after that? Because I mean, we didn't even get into that. We didn't even get into the moon matrix or anything.
Well, what I think about the moon matrix is exactly the way that you've described it, and I've written a lot of articles, and you can find a lot of material on N5D about that, about the moon. I do feel like Saturn has a lot to do with it, because I even think that may be the base for a lot of the Dracos. There was an explosion. A city got destroyed on Saturn, and a lot of that stuff in the city is part of the belt around Saturn. Mm-hmm. Saturn's been a war planet, and Saturn, just sounds too close to Satan for it not to be related.
Sure does.
But I do agree with everything you said about the moon, about it having.
And again, I found all this out on my own. I didn't, look up anyone's, or not that saying like it's bad to look up the work of other individuals who are free thinkers. I encourage everyone to look up the work of like David Icke or Mark or me or Greer or like Stewart or anyone. I mean, I encourage everyone to really get your feet wet and look up the work. But for me, it just, things were downloaded to me. And, a lot of people are going to like shake their heads and go, well, who's this guy? You know what? I'm someone who busted my butt, and I've actually been out fighting for people for a long time, whether it be Monsanto or chemtrails or what have you. Okay? Really been just doing my own independent research as far as certain things, and that resonate with you, and certain things don't. But a lot of my info is just literally been downloaded, and I don't see why that's so hard to believe to people. Like, you don't have to be a whistleblower. You don't have to be like some guy downloaded, who. I mean, literally, like, people who say, well, I hear voices type of deal. Like, people laughed at David Icke when he said he heard voices. Like, what he really meant by that was it was downloaded in his mind.
Right.
And it's possible it's possible to do that. And, people think, like, well, if you're not a whistleblower, no. Whistleblowers are great. Good for them for coming out. But to say, I think that it's really shunned upon and frowned upon nowadays when someone says, hey, look, I heard voices in my head. I had information downloaded to me. You're thinking someone's loony. Well, we're not. Our brain's literally a computer. I mean, what we think, we project. We create our own reality. So therefore, if you believe that, then why the hell are you criticizing somebody that's saying that they had, information downloaded to them? You're a complete, I hate when I start, but you're a hypocrite. Because in one hand, you're saying that you're a hypocrite because you're believing that the mind projects its own reality. Therefore, the mind is somewhat of a computer, okay? Or not saying we don't have soul or spirit consciousness and all that, but you're a hypocrite because you believe that. But you're going to laugh at someone who says, well, I'm sorry, but I didn't get my information from free thinkers. They may have studied free thinkers, but most of their info, especially my info from the Moon Matrix, it just came to me. Like, either through dream state or not. It just comes to you.
There is a difference. There is a difference in information that comes to you, though. I mean,
sure.
And I have to say this is one thing that I don't have personal experience with because I don't have people talking to me in my head. But I do know that the technology that the government has, and that, of course, they get it from the archons, is to be able to talk to you in your head with a voice that sounds like God's talking to you, right?
Well, some people literally have that, but just people have like thoughts, like you just know, like when you look at the moon. All right, say for example, you look at the moon, okay, and you look at the moon and you just have a thought in your mind, it'll just say that is not right. It should not be there. Something is not that you wouldn't hear a physical voice go, the moon is a soul circulating machine. Right. Yeah, so you may have misunderstood me with that. What I mean by some individuals who have downloaded information isn't like an actual voice. It's just how can I explain this? Well,
that's what I wanted to clarify, and I'll tell you why.
It's an essence. It's an essence that you get. Like, it's kind of like if you see that creep across the street who keeps staring in your goddamn window 12 o'clock at night when you have your shades open, you have that inner voice that says, all right, stay away from him. He's a freaking creep, Well, it's kind of like the moon, When you're looking in the sky, you see the moon, and you just get that inner energy feeling, and it says, dude, that is not supposed to frigging be there. That's what I had got,
let me tell you what they do to combat that. There's so much programming out there to make us it has moon symbols everywhere you look. and beautiful pictures of the moon and stuff that are created to, flash in your mind as part of your daily routine. Every day the moon's going to come up, unless it's a new moon, then you're not going to see it. But, the moon's always there for you when you go outside. The moon is your friend, Yeah. That's the programming that's been out there. But, the reason I wanted to clarify to the listeners tonight is because this is where discernment comes in, and learning. A lot of psychics, a lot of channelers, they do get their information directly from a voice that they can hear in their head. And from what I understand, I don't have personal experience with this, but from what I understand, the actual speaking in your ear or in your head, that is technology that's used.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
The only thing that I've had any kind of experience with is the thoughts. They're thought packets. They're like symbols. And do you know on the internet when you want to send a file that's too big, you put it in a zip file and you send that zip file over, and then you have to unzip it? Well, that's how thoughts from your either higher self or your soul or your guides or whatever gets put into your head, and it gets unzipped, and then your brain dissects it, and then you have thoughts.
Absolutely. Now,
that's
to the listeners, absolutely. Now, to the listeners, that is exactly what we mean, and that is exactly what I mean. Is that when people, especially when people laughed at when David Icke, when he was saying how he was the son of God, and he is. We are all children of God. We are all gods. I'm sorry, he said he was God, and people were like, well, you're the son of God. All this. We are. And it was really misinterpreted because, like you said, it's like a zip file. Not that we're hearing voices. Like I said earlier, stuff is downloaded to you. Like that zip file is downloaded to you. And the problem with what's going on now in the universal community and the activist community is that, they don't want to hear that. Like, if you didn't get your information from a whistleblower, well, then you're full of crap. If you didn't get your information from someone who's done 20 lectures and written 20 books, then you're full of crap. How could you possibly know about the moon unless you read his book? How could you possibly know about raising vibration unless you studied Bashar? You're blasphemy. You're crazy. It's impossible. But then, and that these are people that are truly not awake. Because the ones who, like you said earlier about judgmental stuff, okay, they're not awake. Because if you're truly awake, you will understand that, first of all, the people that got this information in the first place got it through that zip file. Unless you're a pure, genuine whistleblower, and even if that's the case, the people that you worked for or organizations you worked for had energy through that zip file. So therefore, either anyone who has gotten any kind of enlightenment or wisdom had it through either meditation or zip file. So to say like, well, oh my God, about the moon matrix, you had to read David Icke's book or you had to read, this person's book, it's total BS because it can come to any one of us at any time. We all have the capability of accessing that zip file, which is called the zip file.
And if you don't recognize the zip file, then what you can recognize is synchronicities and being just having a feeling, oh, I'm hungry. I've got a craving for Chili's, for instance. And, I don't want to go to, I do want to go to Chili's. You get in your car, you go to Chili's, and bam, you run into somebody you haven't seen in 15 years. What are the odds they're there, at Chili's at that particular time? And there was a reason why you did it, why you needed to see them. Maybe they needed your energy. Maybe you needed their energy. Maybe, maybe there was something you're going to start working together. There's just, there are feelings that, and if you're just yourself, and you just start following your gut and following your feelings, you're going to be fine. And one thing I'd like to mention is to the listeners, we've got about 15, maybe 20 minutes left in the show, maybe 30 minutes, depending on how many people want to call right now. The phone number to call if you want to ask us a question is area code 646-716-8890. And the next topic I'd like to get into, if you don't mind, if we just move into this, is we had started talking about hybrids, and I understand that you actually have met a hybrid child of yours, and I want.
Well, you got that from the presentation, didn't you?
Of course I did. Hey, I do my research.
Hey, well, let's get into it. It's touchy. I actually had to edit that presentation. I'm going to say it live on the show. I actually broke down and cried. talking about it. Yeah, we edited it out, but I think
do you remember how you made it? How you made a hybrid child, or did they wipe that from your memory?
The one girl that I met in the Army said that we had one, but she didn't get into too much detail. The only thing she said that it was taken away. It was taken away because it had to stay safe, which what she said. It had to stay hidden. Something like that. I don't know exactly what that meant. I really didn't get into detail. I do. That's what she said. That's what she said. Other than that, I just when I really started getting, and you got to realize, I'm one of the very few activists who not only do activism, but consciously, and this is ego-free, are on a universal spiritual level that I'm on. I mean, I'm literally out there in the streets with microphones and press passes and stuff. So to be able to do all that, is amazing, and it's so a blessing and humbleness. But at the same time, if you have any hybrid children, they're going to want to be curious. I mean, because we have to understand, anyone who has any hybrid children, they're going to want to know what's going on. They're going to want to say, hey, well, I want to. All right, so here's the deal. Let's get into this, because we only got half an hour.
Yeah.
Let's throw it out there. We're going to talk about this again. I'm going to hold my emotions back because I don't want to break down. I want to break down on 5D. We can't break down on 5D. Then again, 5D would be the place to break down, wouldn't it?
Well, you need to heal whatever's bothering you, brother.
No, but 5D, we're on a high vibrational, frequency here. So this would be a good show to break down. And there's nothing wrong with crying, but when you do it in front of a bunch of people doing a presentation, it kind of was a little weird, but anyway. So I was in New York. This was the last 9/11, 9/11 meeting, and it was amazing. I got to meet a bunch of people, and I had my hybrid child shirt on. It looked like the dark as eyes, the black. What are they called? Black-eyed children. Mm-hmm. I had a shirt on. I had a shirt on like that, and I'm out interviewing people. It's cold as hell, getting ready to rain. Getting ready to pour. I mean, anyone who's been to New York realize how busy it is, how packed it is. You're really tired, really dehydrated. And this old man comes up to me. Like, this guy looked like he was like 80. Just didn't fit in at all. But, if anyone knows anything in Star Children and light workers, a lot of the hybrids, they just don't dress normal. But when you're out doing freaking activism for an hour straight, and you're just interviewing and grinding, you're not thinking straight, your mind's going, you're dehydrated. And so this old guy comes up to me when he has these dark sunglasses on. He goes, wow, it's a very unique shirt you have. Okay? It's a very unique shirt you're wearing. He goes, why are you at a 9/11 protest with an alien shirt on? And then I started talking about Mars and different things, different planets and stuff. And then this really buff, 20-looking-year-old guy comes up, stands next to me out of nowhere, and he starts talking to the old guy like they're best friends, And I said this in the presentation that I was in, and so they started talking, and he looks at me. Both had glasses on, by the way. Just letting you know, they both had
it's like raining, and they have sunglasses on.
Yeah, and yeah. So then they both are covering their eyes, obviously, And the one older gentleman kept talking about the movie The 12th Planet. He kept pushing the fact that I needed to watch that movie, The 12th Planet, which I haven't yet, but I should.
Shame on you.
He was telling me about how the new towers that are put up are actually energy weapons. He said he did not want. He made it clear I will not be on camera or no. And at the time he's like, nor will my friend, which didn't resonate with me until after I came to frig home. But like I said, the younger gentleman came up to me, and he was standing next to me, and he looks at me, and he just was looking down at me. He was like, I don't know, 6 foot something, well, maybe 6. I don't know. I'm 5'5". I don't know, maybe 6'1", 6'2". It's hard to really grasp how tall he was, but anyway, so he had the glasses on, looked like a Marine style built, like a really nice built, black hair, and one thing he asked me, he goes, so let me ask you a question. I said, what? And he goes, so I'm really curious. He goes, what are your opinions on hybrids? I hear you talk a lot about, humanity being recycled and stuff like that. He said, what are your opinions on hybrids? And it's like he gazed at me, and like he was really focusing. And we talk about the Greys and the Zetas, they can really do a lot of things with the subconscious mind and telepathy and all, and really getting our thoughts. And I looked at him, I said, well, I said, I'll tell you what. I said, I have two views on it. My first view is that they are here to recycle humanity, because why else would the Greys and all that be taking our DNA? And, it kind of seems with the way the Earth is going that something's going on with the transforming things and different things like that. And I said, one view is that, if they don't recycle, and then humanity has been recycled in history, where civilizations have just gone and came and went. And I said, well, that's a possibility. I said, but then there's another possibility where these hybrids are actually here to help us, and they're about love vibration. And he goes, well, what do you think? And I said, honestly, man, I said, again, I'm tired. I'm literally tired, beat down from doing activism. And I looked at him, I said, well, as long as there's love vibration, I'm all for it. And he looked at me with a smile. It was, wow, that's when I started crying at the presentation. Because when you talk about it in front of people and you envision it, and I can still remember his face. And I just got really emotional. I don't know, but and he smiled and gave me a look like, way to go, Dad. Like, way to fucking go. Like, you got it. You figured it out. And I seen him, and that was that. And when I would talk to the old guy, he was just looking at me, the younger guy, staring at me the whole time. Like, they call that the reptilian stare. And that was what I was getting. I was like, he was, and I hope he was proud, because that's what I got. Like out of all the hybrids in the world, like, he was like, wow, my dad's pretty kick ass. That's kind of what I got from him. And you don't hug strangers. Well, I hug strangers because that's who I am. But he offered to hug me. I hugged him, and it kind of seemed like he didn't want to let go. And the next thing I know, I had the one person I was with, and I went somewhere with them. But he went with the old guy. He went with a freaking old guy. That was yeah. It does some crazy stuff. But the older gentleman kept talking. He kept pushing the importance of those towers, the new ones that are up. He's like, look at the way they're structured. He's like, they're energy weapons. He's like, if they wanted to right now, they can hit a button and do all kinds of shit with energy, in the United States or whatever. And he kept pushing the importance of this movie, The 12th Planet. And he was just like, wanted to know what I thought about Mars. He wanted to know what I thought. He kept pushing Mars. It's funny because now Mars is being, colonized. If it hasn't been for a while now, but he wanted to know my opinion on a lot of different things, how I thought about vibrational levels. But the whole time, the younger guy, who looked like I couldn't be any older than 23, maybe, he just kept staring at me. And and
you
the
just
thing
knew.
Yeah, and the one thing about us is that, well, a lot of us is that, like, we really don't get it until afterwards. You know what I'm saying? Like, you really don't, like, you don't pick up. They don't want you to. They can kind of block it out from you picking up. Like, he'll leave, and a half an hour later, like, holy shit, like, I just really, why didn't I say anything, or why didn't I notice it then? But you can't notice it because they block it out, and they're just, you're in that moment. And I feel that regardless if humanity is being recycled or not, I feel blessed at the fact that, he was proud. And I think that no matter what I have ever done in my life, that it really gets you worked up and emotional. And there's a lot of people going to say, well, Paul, you're full of BS, and that's bull crap, and blah, 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 blah. But they can say whatever they want. My truth is my truth, and throughout my career, I've never said anything negative, about anything. I've always pressed the importance of love. I always have. Even going back to like 2011, 2010, and that's one of the main things that impressed me about you. And I wanted to help our listeners out there. I know that the word abduction may or may not be the right word to talk about here, but because sure. It depends on if you've really got beings that are trying to do harm and put implants in you in order to control you, or if you've got beings that maybe are your distant cousins or something that you agreed. I don't know if that's possible or not for you to have beings that you agreed to help start a new type of human on the planet. But anyway, this is a very touchy subject. A very touchy subject is what you're getting into.
And I know the answer to this, but what I'd like for you to do is to share with our listeners how you, for people who are uncomfortable with what's happening to them, how you can stop it.
Well, first and foremost, I want to say that, as far as being taken, we're not going to say the word abduction, but being taken. A lot of people say that they made pre-plans when they got here, and that they chose to do certain things and stuff like that. I have different views on this. I feel first and foremost that look, I chose to come here. If that's the case, then fine, okay. I chose to come here and blah blah blah, but
you took the risk. Then
right,
yeah.
I think there's two things. I think, and I have a positive view on this, and I have a negative. Now, the negative view on this, because we can't ignore the negative, we can't ignore the dark of things, because we're not going to truly heal or help anyone if we do. Free will has been taken because people say, well, I signed up for this. I signed up for this. Well, if that's the case, then at least let me remember that I signed up for it, so I can help the planet ascend. Okay, at least let me remember. Give me a little tease that so I can say, hey, look, even though I signed up for this, even though I signed up to have my DNA taken, even though I signed up to be abducted, give me the opportunity to help save the planet, to stop the chemtrails. We're not given that. We're taken, okay? A lot of millions and thousands of people are being taken, and it's against galactic free will. Now, does that make every hybrid bad? No. It makes the parasites that are taking us bad. And again, you have good and bad. Matter of fact, the one girl who I told you who shapeshifted told me there's good and bad. But that's what I'm saying. So just because there's a bunch of bad apples, it doesn't make, whether the hybrids are going to colonize Mars, so to speak, or the moon, or wherever, or whether they do take over planet Earth, it doesn't make them bad because it's not their freaking fault. It's these parasites that are the ones that are on the ships taking people. If you ever watch Fire in the Sky, you see all the nasty stuff they do, or they'll have you, when you're abducted, they'll show you scenes of like a total cataclysmic event on Earth. Look, man, why? If you're that far ahead of us, if you're that so advanced in us, then help us. All right? Then come down and stop it, okay? Come down and stop the cabals. Stop this. Stop the chemtrails. Stop the Monsanto. But they're not. And I said this on my last radio show. I said, I don't care if you're reptilian or you're not. If you're not here positively trying to help ascend this planet, then I don't want nothing to do with you. I don't even want to talk to you. Now, how can we stop abductions? The normal person can. The normal person who's been abducted or being taken, if you're not...
They're in so much fear.
Right, you're in so much fear that you're gonna be taken, and that's gonna be that. You're cattle. You're an experiment. Now, when the only way to stop it is to, and this is gonna sound corny, like, oh, I'm a light worker, and I knew you were gonna say that corny stuff, Paul. But those people who know me know better, because I had to fight through the egotistical early in my career. I had to fight through the anger. I had to fight through all that. So it is about being a light worker. It is about raising your vibration. It is about love awareness, because they're friggin' parasites. And you know what? You know what helped me stop it? You know what helped me have astro magic? You know what helped positive beings? You know what helped me on 5D radio? You know what helped me have the interviews I had with Laura? Raising my vibration. Understanding the fact of how the consciousness works and how you can raise your vibration, because until you do that, you're going to be a victim. Because
there's a second part of that too, though.
Yeah, well, this is again why they poison our planet and our food and our air, because they want to keep us the victims. They want to keep us low vibrational. But they don't mess with me now. The last time I was ever taken by extraterrestrial beings, if you want to call them that, I was on Frankfurt Ave. I was in an apartment, and the tall one stepped in. Okay. And then I had two tall, 9-10-foot feline-looking beings that stepped in front of him, and he disappeared. From then, in dream state, and a lot of people say, oh, well, it's easy to say, you see things or hear this or that in dream state. You're full of BS. Well, I'm sorry that you're not on my level of consciousness. I'm sorry that it doesn't resonate with you. But if it doesn't, keep your opinion to yourself and just move on. If what I'm saying doesn't resonate with you, then fine. Keep your opinions to yourself and whatever. But in dream state, they came to me again, and I was taken to an altar with blue flame, and there was two of them that were walking me down this altar, this hallway, and I was taken to a being, and I was full of fear because I'm thinking, oh my God, it's one of them tall grays again. This is what I was thinking, and I seen the cat face, and I just got on my knees and started crying, and I felt like this overwhelming amount of love, and they stood me up, and I looked at him, and he shook his head no. And when he shook his head no, it was the most heartbreaking thing. I was like, no, I don't want to go back. No, and I kind of feel that was kind of like, he's not done yet. He's not ready, And again, that was the breaking point of when I transitioned, when I dropped the ego. Because I'm not going to lie, listeners, look at my YouTube videos. In my early years, the ego was there. And I'm not going to erase it because I want people to see how you transition through that. So, and to do better things and be able to come on shows like this and stuff like that. I had, when I first started my career, nobody would have me on a radio show. But when you learn to be humble with what you do and you learn to really reach a lot of people and you're true to yourself and you're true to your work, you'll get to that. You'll get to be able to reach thousands because that's how the universe works. So with abductions, I mean, it just all comes down to saying, I'm not powerless. Exactly. The problem with that is that a lot of people that are abducted don't know about UFOs. They don't even know about Monsanto. They don't know about chemtrails. They're targeting, again, these are parasites, okay? We don't have light beings or light workers or any kind of like Pleiadians or Nordics, the positive Nordics that are abducting people. No, we have parasites, the bottom of the barrel of the universe, that are scumbags that want to take people, and that's what we have. So, and they seem to be taking people that aren't enlightened, that have no idea of UFOs or this. They're targeting weak people that are victimizing people that are vulnerable.
Well, they're also targeting people that are here to make a difference, like we talked about earlier. And if they can catch them early on and implant them,
like what they did with me.
Keep them from waking up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they fail with me. And guess what? Your implant has been taken out.
Yeah, it ain't going to work anymore.
Parasites. Yeah, it ain't going to work no goddamn more, I'll tell you that. And when I die, I'm going to be ready because I'm not going to... One of the things Albert Einstein... Yeah, well, because this is just half the battle, sweetheart. Let me tell you what. When we pass over, that's when it really happens. Because that's when the archons are going to trick you and they're going to try to say... Like, if you want to see Buddha or Jesus, or if you want to see, your parents... or
Heaven.
Right, if I think I'm going to see these 9-foot feline-looking beings and they're going to take me to paradise, no, I ain't trusting nobody.
Exactly.
I am going to find my way.
A lot more knowledge. I'm sorry. I think we're going to have a lot more knowledge before then. I mean, I get this question a lot. People want to know, well, where do we go then? And they're freaking out now because they realize it's true, and they want to know, if we're to die tomorrow, what should I do? And so I'm going to tell you what I think, and you can tell me what you think.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you what I think what we do.
Okay.
I have no goddamn clue where we go. and that's real. That's being real on radio. Look, you know what? Albert Einstein said himself before he passed. He said, you know what? As smart as people say I am, I want to find out. I want to master the light at the end of the tunnel. And all I know is that I know that there's a moon matrix, and I've really got into it and thought to myself what's going on. I mean, I've checked out other people's things, but a lot of the information I had that was been downloaded to me through Dream State, and I just, as far as how do we get out of this, oh man, wow, how do you stop it from happening? The closest thing that I've heard was, the archons are going to come at you and say, hey, look, great job, blah, 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 but the earth really needs you. Go back, go back, go back. And that's when people say, well, you're on a mission. You have a choice, da, 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 da. I've heard that we have to have some kind of agreement because they can bully us around now and beat us down and make us suffer and stuff. It's a whole different ball game when we get to the other side because we've got a little more power then, you know what I mean? Especially if you're like me or the host and we understand how magic works. Well, then we're going to be able to show them who's the shit. You know what I mean? Especially now that I'm learning how to do astro magic now. Could you imagine what's going to happen when I feel like I'm being prepped for death? Like, this is just half the battle. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
exactly. So this is what I have to say about it.
So to wrap this up real quick, because I know you want to get your information in.
Well, I'm dying
all I have to say is, well, hold on a second now. Come on, we're ready. We're ready to fight for to get it out. But this is amazing. This is great being on. But real quick, I just want to say that raise your vibration as much as you can. God damn, just don't follow the light and pretty much don't sign any agreements. Don't follow the light. Don't sign any contracts. Don't let them make you feel, because they're going to trick you. They're going to try to make you feel sorry about, oh my God, you should have never treated your husband like this when he lost his job and he passed away. It's your fault. You need to come back and learn from that. You know what I mean? They're going to hit you with this shit. So you're going to really have to keep your wits about you and then see what options are on the table. If you have the option to get the hell out of here, then if you feel that you've learned enough, do it. Me, I'm a complete insane individual of change and loving people, and I'm probably going to choose to come. I'm probably going to kick a little butt when I get on the other side because of the shit they put me through now, and then I'm going to choose to come back to help as many people as I can again. You know, because that's my attitude. So I'm probably going to use a little bit of astro magic and say, hey, look, you need to calm your shit down and stop being so evil, and then I'm going to say, all right, what do I walk through to come back again? You know, because this is as rough as it's been, it's just been an amazing experience. And when I look at my friends and how many people I know and different things, to be able to be doing what I'm doing, I feel like, wow, I just feel like there's no lottery you can hit to be able to be blessed, to be able to be on this show. So go ahead.
Aww.
It's true.
I just don't know how I can match that. But what I wanted to say is that there's a couple of things that I've learned that have resonated with me. And first of all, one is that as we're awakening and raising our vibration, and we start, receiving more information, when we pass out of body, our vibration is going to be high enough to where we may not be able to be sucked into that light, because that's a low vibrational false light tunnel. And before, see, that's why they're trying to pump us with metals. Yeah, because before what they can do is it's like a magnet, and it attaches, the metals stay in your astral body, and then they can pull you in that way. So that's one thing that I say that we don't have to worry about. See, that's why they have all the chemtrailing and all the filling in our mouth and stuff.
Sure. Laura said about that. She said that won't affect us. No, I'm sorry, so sorry I cut you off, but real quick, she said, when I interviewed her, she said that won't affect us because we're we're on such a high vibrational level. Like, we will get the chemicals, but they won't affect our actual being, like our actual...
Right, and that's...
Like, they'll affect the physical, but they won't affect us when we go, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, and then
but go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Is that I have been talking with some of my soul family that I've recently hooked up with, and that's this lady named Lily Earthling and this guy named Gaz Stone, and they're saying that beings, there are some beings that have actually incarnated through the core of the planet to be here at this time, and when you incarnate through the core of the planet, you didn't get a lot of the implants that you get when you go through the reincarnation trap with the Greys, and eventually, maybe that's why a lot of people woke up a lot earlier, or some people that are waking up, that didn't get their mind wiped, and are awake, the indigo children and stuff that are awake. And so, what I would suggest from the knowledge that I've received on this is to stay with the planet at first. If you don't know what to do, stay with the planet, because the planet has a stargate within it that's connected to the sun, and the sun is connected to the great central sun, and all the way connected like a nestled Russian doll to source. And so, you're going to want to try to gravitate towards the stargates. And right now, I believe people have been talking about there's a quarantine around the Earth. So I think you can bypass that quarantine if you match the vibrational resonance to go through Earth and to get to the sun that way. So that would be a suggestion that I would have. So what do we do?
I mean, what do we do? So if we're on a high vibrational, level, absolutely. But if we're on a high vibrational level, okay, what do we do? I mean, how do we bypass that quarantine? I mean, can you explain on how that would actually happen?
Well, let's think about this the same way that they're getting to Mars. You go through a stargate.
So you're saying if we're on a high enough vibrational level that we can, physically or, when we die, go through a stargate tonight.
Well, what I'm saying is that the Earth is a sentient, conscious being, and she only allows, things to go through her stargate. Everybody has a stargate. We have a stargate within ourselves. And that's really what happens to us is we go within ourselves, and but we're connected to the planet because we have to get permission to come here, to incarnate here. We had permission a long time ago before everybody who came here to incarnate had permission from Gaia. And you merge with a part of her when you come into a body. You merge with her energetics and merge with the physical body, which is made out of the same materials as her. So, there's an agreement. She knows what's going on. This is her plan. And this is her plan. She's going to raise her vibration. You agree to come here, and some people, were trapped, but they agreed to come here originally. And the point being is that the stargates are through her, through the sun. If there's a quarantine around the planet, then they must have had a jump room or a stargate in order to get to Mars. Either that, or that's all part of the illusion. That's all part of the Matrix. I don't know. But there's stargates to take you within the planet. There are beings that live inside the planet. So these are things that we can't wrap our minds around. But the bottom line is, instead of getting so confused and worried about what's going to happen to you if you were to die tomorrow, just take the love vibration that you have with you. When you pop out of your body, you may not know everything just yet, but just like we are here, you don't die, you continue to learn and grow. No matter where you are, you're going to continue to learn and grow. So there has to be something on the other side, that some kind of being that's going to help you, that you can really feel and know, because you still have your mental capacity. You don't have a brain, but your mental capacity works with the brain. Your mental body actually can think without a brain, but just in a different way. So... And then another thing is, by then, a lot of us aren't going to die anytime soon. So by then, the program itself may be dissolved when they realize that, a lot of people on the planet have woken up, and or they already have what they need. They already have enough energy or enough bodies, and they're, they don't need the program anymore. They know that people aren't going to fall for it, because they're going to keep waking people up that keep getting reincarnated. So it could dissolve in itself. And I think it's a really good question that everybody has, and I just urge people not to worry about that, because one thing we want to do is we want to stay in the present moment here. And when you stay in the present moment, you're connected with your wisdom, and you're out of fear. And so that's really the best advice I can give everybody on that.
Well, wow, that's amazing. I mean, and guys, I mean, if this doesn't enlighten you or show you anything, I don't know what will. And again, take what you can from the show, and what doesn't resonate, will you let go?
Exactly. I don't know everything.
Absolutely.
I may know nothing. I may have it all wrong.
we might be asked backwards here. So, but
exactly.
At least we're asked.
We are.
At least we're. That's amazing though, because at least we're asked backwards with love and good intent. So
yeah, really. One more thing before we're getting towards the end here. I just wanted to remind you that in one of your talks, you were talking. We got off the topic of abductions, and you almost got there, but pretty much you told people in your talks that when you get to a point where you realize what's happening, if you do have a memory of it, most people don't, but they have marks or whatever. Even if you don't remember, you can create a saying out loud to where you're basically saying no more. Just say no is what you tell them to do.
Just empower yourself. Yes.
Yeah, empower yourself with your free will choice, and say that you whatever contract you may have signed is null and void, and just basically just say no. Or let's say that you actually are awake during one of they come into your room, and it's that it's time to go, because some kind of pressurized change happens in your ear, and one ear goes deaf, and there's a loud sound that transfers to the other ear or whatever, and something's about to happen. Just say no and stay calm within yourself, and really stay. The one thing that's really going to help you that we haven't talked about, that's most important about all this, is to imagine yourself being grounded with Mother Earth, because she's your protector, she's your buddy, she's who you're working with here. This isn't a bigger plan than what we realize right now. To make an end to what's happening on this planet will change everything in our solar system, galaxy, universe, and maybe even other universes. So there's a plan in place. Not everybody needs to know everything, but what's worked for me is to be grounded with the planet If that means going out and walking in grass, or eating her food, or sitting with a tree, or whatever. If that means taking a bath in her beautiful water and thanking the water, and asking the water to work with your body, or if it just means if you can't do any of that and you're stuck in a cubicle and you're working, and you can just close your eyes and just imagine that your feet grow roots and that you are a part of her, and just say hi to her. I mean, it's easy as that. I mean, that's what works for me. Other people think different things may work for them, but I'm here talking to you, and that's what I do. So I wanted to say that. And so to wrap up, is there anything else that you'd like to get into that we didn't cover? We don't have any callers, so this is we're pretty much here at the end. I did want to make sure that you tell people where they can find you.
Well, I mean, just understand that we're all not perfect, first and foremost. That, it's a lot to soak in, especially when, we see what's going on with Mother Earth with these nuclear power plants, blown up, and, with the chemtrails and everything else. It's a lot to take in. And then when you add the activism part with the tyranny and the Constitution being ripped apart and 9/11 and all that stuff, and then you have to also grasp the universal aspect, which is like vibrations, and, how the consciousness works and subconsciousness works, and how everything's just a distraction to pretty much, because we don't die anyway, so everything's just a distraction to kind of keep you in this matrix trap and, keep you away from Mother Earth. And, it really is a game. And I just want to say that it's going to be really overwhelming at first. Don't feed into the anger when you find out about different beings. Don't say, well, this girl shape-shifting in front of me and she looks like formaldehyde face, and that reptilians are just these evil beings. Don't get yourself to the point to where you're going to say all these things or think all these things. Don't feed into the anger, because that's all a part of the illusion. And just take baby steps is what I'm saying. Basically, my advice and my closing point is don't let anger overcome you. Take baby steps. There's a lot of decent info out on the web. Take what you can, learn from it. Take whatever you think is bullshit, drop it. Programs and shows like this, definitely tune into. And really just understand that it's okay not to be perfect. It's okay. You don't have to be the next, Gandhi. You don't have to be the next Bashar. You don't have to be like a superstar activist that's out there with a camera in people's face. You don't have to do that. Just understand that it's okay not to be perfect. Understand that it's okay to see someone shapeshift that loves you and accept them for their beauty. Okay, understand these things, because this is what this existence is about. And it took me too long to figure this shit out. Oh, maybe not, because I'm still, going. But in my mind, it took me too long. I wish I would have known this stuff 3 years ago, and just understand that love is key. As I always say, there's going to be people out there who are going to say, well, whatever your experience is, whether it's through a dream state or through talking to people or through the internet, you're always going to have people to say you're egotistical or you're BS or you're this or you're that. Well, you don't think like me on a light worker way, so therefore you're fake or you're this. That. It doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter. Just really understand that love is key, and I'm just so humbled to be doing this again. I just am. I mean, wow, I am on 5D radio right here. And, so many people said to me, they said, Paul, man, it will never happen. I had people who wouldn't even do interviews with me. Said, I think the first interview that really kept it going was, I think his name was Arcturus Ra. I had him on my show. Yeah. I had him on my show, and he was amazing. He was a big shout out to Arcturus Ra. He gets into the whole star children and all that. And, I had him on the show, and that's when people were like, wow, holy crap, this wild, crazy activist, And a lot of people said it wouldn't happen, and that just goes to show, if you can really manifest you can create your own reality through manifestation. You can manifest your own reality through your thoughts, and just stick with it, man. Just stick through love, guys, and really, really, really believe in yourself and love the planet and just be a love. Anything's possible. And wow, I'm just like going on and babbling on, but it's just I'm just blessed. I'm blessed.
Oh.
This is like my Super Bowl today. I mean, people said this would never happen. And we look at the producers and people that are involved with this show. When we look at the people that are involved with the show, you know, there's a lot of Reiki healers and spiritual people. So for me, this is something special for me. So, and it's just a blessing to be on, and I'm so humbled. Thank you.
Well, I found you, and I followed my instructions, which were to get on the internet and do what I do. I mean, I'm on the internet. I mean, Greg and I work now, 12, 15 hours a day, and I love it. And he does too. Right. And, I have the freedom now to post things like your new YouTube videos as soon as you get them up on howtoexitthematrix.com. And, anytime you want to write an article, we can post it on N5D. And, this is all about helping each other, help everybody else, because, what if we are just one big being that split itself up into several pieces, and we're all individuals, but we all come back, we all are one when it comes to that. So, I'm helping you, you help me, and I really resonated with you. So I'm really thankful that you did come and share your information with people. And this is not the end. I mean, we got to keep getting information out there. And speaking of that,
keep going. Absolutely.
Yeah, let me know when you get your 2 YouTubes up, and I can publish them on How to Exit the Matrix. And you better watch The 12th Planet. And
yeah, I do need to take that advice. I do.
Also, next week, I would be honored if you'd like to call in on the second half of my show with Laura Eisenhower.
I really would. I think I may do that. I think that'd be great.
She and I will be talking about the difficulties of raising children, being an awakened individual, and the difficulties you face with school, vaccines, or even older children.
It's rough. It is rough. And just real quick to get on that, I mean, when as a single parent, every day she wakes up, I asked her, I'm like, what's the most important thing in the world? And she goes, love. I said, what's the worst thing in the world? She goes, fear and hate. Yep.
There you go.
The two most important things, and that's what we have to do.
So you're welcome to call in next week and shout out, say hi to Laura, and everybody else. We'll be taking calls in the second half of the show. We'll be sharing a little bit of our personal experience. I mean, that's really all I can do is share my personal experience, share the things that have worked with me, share my path. And if you can hear the truth in my voice, this is my truth. And I think if it resonates with you, then it becomes your truth automatically because it's resonating. I mean, that's just as simple as it is. And I'm just so happy to be here serving everybody. And that's what N5D is about. I mean, that's dedication to. That's what we came here to do. There's nothing more satisfying than getting our job done that we came here to do. And that's what it's all about. And listen, people, we're doing this now. This is happening. We're breaking the matrix down. It's dissolving.
Break it down.
Yeah. We're seeing things around us. We are seeing the extreme other things that are happening because so many people are changing the program so quickly that they have no choice but to go into emergency mode and do all of this. And that should be a sign that we're doing something right. So thank you for joining me, Paul, and thank everybody else for joining me tonight. And talk to you soon. Talk to you next week, Paul.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay. Good evening.